many times do you think Disney Channel have attempted to create pop stars over the years? You'd probably say something like, I don't know, 38. I mean, there are 38 examples of people who were on the Disney Channel and also had a record deal with Disney. But let me tell you, there are so many more. I have been spending months, almost years, trying to find every single person who was on the Disney Channel and also made music at some point. And look how long this list is. This list is quite literally never ending. And that's not even all of them. I'm only human. This is just everyone I could find. But let me take you through the hundreds of people who Disney attempted to make pop stars. Where to even start? I mean, let me just quickly recap the first 38 that I just mentioned, the very tip of the iceberg, definitive Disney Channel pop stars who were releasing music with Disney-owned record labels while also on the Disney Channel, because I don't trust you know all of them. Raven Simone, the Cheetah Girls, BB Mac, Youngstown, Hilary Duff, Lil J, Ali and AJ, Hayden Panettiere, Jesse McCartney, Vanessa Hudgens, Jordan Pruitt, Corbin Bloom, Miley Cyrus, the Jonas Brothers, Demi Lovato, Selena Gomez, China Anne McClain, Bridget Mendler, Ross Lynch, Bella Thorne, All-Star Weekend, Zendaya, Olivia Holt, Coco Jones, Jordan Fisher, Sabrina Carpenter, Sophia Carson, Forever in Your Mind, JD McCrary, Asher Angel, Christopher Wilde, Christy Carlson Romano, Mitchell Musso, Boo Boo Stewart, She Daisy, and Lucy Hale. Those are the first 38, but as I said, it goes so much deeper. Disney made many more attempts to create pop stars over the years without ever signing the artists to their own record labels for whatever reason that is, whether they wanted to release music independently, whether they wanted to work with another label. Disney still gained something for artists who did well being on their shows. And well, actually, before we get any further, I want to quickly recap the timeline of Disney Channel's history because it's important for the context of this video and it helps us understand how they became this pop star making machine. Firstly, in April 1983, the Disney Channel was launched. Hilariously, it's essentially the equivalent of what Disney Plus is now, a $10 subscription TV channel solely dedicated to showing Disney movies, shorts, and TV shows, which at the time were not exactly what you'd describe to be a Disney Channel TV show today. And also in 1983 was the launch of their Walt Disney Television studio, which was where they produced all their straight-to-Disney Channel content. Starting with the show Good Morning Mickey and their first Disney Channel premiere film, Tiger Town, this was aimed as entertainment for the entire family, but the most successful shows that they made were actually the animated TV shows that kind of served as spin-offs to the Walt Disney animation movies. Anyway, back to the timeline. To be honest, it wasn't very eventful for the first few years. It wasn't until the 90s when things started to change, both on and off screen. Firstly, off screen, between 1990 and 1996, the Disney Channel became more and more widely available as just a basic cable service for no extra cost. And by 1996, it was practically available statewide as a free cable service in America. And then secondly, in February 1996, Disney acquired ABC. This meant, alongside other things, ABC's teen-focused sitcoms started airing on the Disney Channel, including, most notably, Boy Meets World, which was a massive hit. Leading to the following year where the rebrand began. They officially dropped the and became known as just Disney Channel. And then by the end of the year, they had released the first Disney Channel original movie or DCOM in Under the Wraps. This was not made by Walt Disney Television and was being made by their in-house Disney Channel studio. And shortly after this, they launched Zoog Disney, which isn't really that important, but Zoog Disney was a segment on the Disney Channel in 1998, which essentially most closely resembles what the Disney Channel is today. They were producing all their own teen-focused sitcoms like The Famous Jet Jackson, Even Stevens, and Lizzie McGuire, and this was also where they started airing music videos on the Disney Channel between shows for the first time. And finally, in 1998, they launched Toon Disney, basically moving all of their animated shows to an entirely different channel, leaving us with a Disney Channel that was completely different to how it started in all ways. And it's around here in the late 90s where I think the Disney Channel canon, so to speak, really started. In 2003, Walt Disney Television had been completely disbanded and It's a Laugh Productions was founded, which is the production company Disney still releases TV shows with to this day. Then the final point in this timeline is that I made this YouTube video in 2024 and have stopped researching and looking for Disney Channel pop stars as of the 1st of September 2024. And before we get any further, I just want to shout out my Patreon because I've basically spent all year researching these videos and your support on there is one of the best ways to help me continue doing this, and yeah, it just means the world to me. Thank you so much for your support. And as I said, today, we're going to get to the bottom of it once and for all for every single Disney Channel pop star that I could find as of the 1st of September 2024. So let's start with what I'm calling the grey area. Disney Channel voices. Why is this the grey area? So Disney Channel voices is a thing the Disney Channel started in 2019. That was a great description from me. Where basically they were just promoting the upcoming songs and like music coming out of the people starring on the Disney Channel shows, but they didn't like, they weren't the record label producing the music. I don't know, I guess it was like part of the transition to the online age where the videos were moving onto YouTube, and therefore a lot of the music videos from Disney Channel stars were on the Disney Vivo, but Disney did not own the music. Which, if we're just gonna quickly revert back to the timeline, this is something that happened very much closer towards me making this video than anything else. It's, 2019 on the latter end of this timeline. So my point is, I don't think these guys all belong with the earlier 38 because I don't believe any of them were ever actually signed to Disney record labels, but they were pretty close to being signed to Disney record labels. So yeah, it's a grey area. So let's meet the first one. I'm going through them in order of when they first appeared on the Disney Channel, and here we have Ava Kolka when she appeared as a character called Ava in Girl Meets World. Let's talk about Ava Kolka. She has 8,000 monthly listeners as of recording this on the 1st of September. I can't stress it enough, this has not been researched beyond that day. And as I said, she first appeared in Girl Meets World, and then she went on to star in her own show as Olive Rosalski in Sydney to the Max in 2019, which is also the year where this Disney Channel Voices thing started, where she was releasing music for, obviously, she had the song When Will It Be Tomorrow on Disney Channel Voices. Since then, she's been releasing music with a label. So she released a couple songs, I think, back in like 2019, 2020 with Disney Channel Voices. And now she is releasing with a label called AGK Production. Which brings me to my favorite part of this video. With every person, I have a yes or no. Do they count as a Disney Channel pop star? And in Ava Kolka's case, yes, she does, making her officially the 39th Disney Channel pop star. Yes, because obviously we had the 38. She is the 39th Disney Channel pop star. I'm saying she counts. She has a song with Disney or Disney Channel Voices, and she's now releasing music. I think she just about makes it in. Which brings me on to the next one. We have none other than Isaac Ryan Brown, who of course starred as Brooker Baxter Carter in Raven's Home. Now, Isaac Ryan Brown actually started out on America's Got Talent in 2012. I don't think he went too far on it, but then he did eventually live the dream and get to star in a Disney Channel show, as I said, as Booker Baxter Carter in Raven's Home, and he actually sings the Raven's Home theme tune in Raven's Home, which happens to be called Raven's Home. He also features on 3 Disney Channel soundtracks. We have the Raven's Home soundtrack where they have the Raven's Home theme tune. They also had a Raven's Home musical episode where he sings songs like Raven's Pie, Eye to Eye, and Replay the Moment. And then finally, he actually sings the Naked Mole Rap remix on the Kim Possible 2019 movie soundtrack. And he also appears on Disney Channel Voices 4 times. He has 4 songs on Disney Channel Voices. And he really comes from the camp of Lil J, where it's a guy trying to rap when they are a child, and it's like, yo, you can be my BFF. That's not exactly how his song goes, but that's kind of a good recreation of it. I believe all the music he did with Disney Channel Voices was independent, and he has actually, as of 2021, started to release music with SSK Records. So he started on the Disney Channel, he obviously started on America's Got Talent and tried to become a musician, ended up becoming an actor, and now is releasing music after his career on the Disney Channel, which makes him, in my opinion, undoubtedly a big fat yes. He is the 40th Disney Channel pop star. Bringing me on to the next one, none other than Meg Donnelly. You know Meg Donnelly, who plays Addison Wells in Zombies. She has 953,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. I was expecting a lot. Obviously, she stars in the Disney Channel original movie Zombies. That was her first role with Disney, I believe. That, of course, led to her featuring on 4 Disney Channel soundtracks. So there are the 3 Zombies soundtracks, all of which broke into the Billboard 200. The most successful of them actually being Zombies 2, which hit number 44 in the Billboard 200. And she also has a song on High School Musical, the musical for series Season 3. She features 3 times on Disney Channel Voices with songs like Digital Love and With You and Impress, and I thought her music was pretty good, but it's very hard to grow an audience for music, I guess, when you're doing it independently, even with the help of Disney. So she doesn't have any charted singles or certified singles in America, like gold or diamond or anything, but, there's still time. Your Sabrina Carpenter moment is coming, Meg. I believe in you. Which brings me to the scale. Sorry, I'm coming over here because I just feel like I need to switch it up a little bit more. Does she count? I feel like it's going to be no shock to anyone that yes, she does, making her officially the 41st Disney Channel pop star. I swear some of the people aren't going to count at some point. We're just not quite there yet. Bringing him on to the next one. Who is this? You might be wondering. No, not these two. Don't think about these two. We're talking about Kylie Cantrall, who is playing Tessa here in Bizarre Vark. She, of course, has 2.8 million monthly listeners on Spotify at the time of recording this. I just want to clarify though, Descendants: The Rise of Red, the new Disney Channel original movie, literally just came out at the time of that number. So this may be lower by the time this video comes out, but she is in Descendants: The Rise of Red. She actually stars as Red in that movie, which is going to be one of the bullet points that's coming up, and I don't know why I'm telling you now. Let's talk about her. She actually starred as Gabby Duran in Gabby Duran and the Unsittables. Obviously, she made her first appearance in Bizarre Vark. I also believe she had a couple appearances in Raven's Home first, but this was her big show. She starred as Gabby Duran in Gabby Duran and the Unsittables, and she also sings the theme tune. She also starred as Red in Descendants: The Rise of Red. I said that, and therefore features in 3 Disney Channel soundtracks, the most notable and successful of these being Descendants: The Rise of Red, which at the time of recording, its chart peak in America is number 60 in the Billboard 200. It might reach higher than that at some point, but right now, its chart peak is number 60. She has featured on 5 Disney Channel Voices songs. 5! That's like ridiculous. You go on the YouTube playlist, which is where I'm getting this information from. She just comes up loads on there. They really were just pushing for her music to do well. She's actually started releasing music with a label in 2021, and she has new songs like Text Go Green, which is a confusing song because I listened to it and it's just to the theme of Cotton Eye Joe. I don't get this song. It's like da-da-da-da-da, text go green. No, it doesn't sound exactly like that, but that's pretty much the song. I don't get that song. I'm sorry, Kylie, but congrats on your music career. I hope it continues to flourish, which brings me to the scale. Where does she land? Yeah, she's gonna be a yes. I don't know why I'm deliberating over this. Of course, she is the 42nd Disney Channel pop star, which brings me on to the next one. We have 2 people here. We have Coop and Cami from Coop and Cami Ask the World, being Ruby Rose Turner and Dakota Lotus. I'm going to go through Dakota Lotus first, so let's get on to his slide. Dakota Lotus has 1.6 thousand monthly listeners on Spotify at this moment in time. So yeah, obviously he starred as Coop in Coop and Cami Ask the World, and he also sings the theme tune for Coop and Cami Ask the World. He has featured on Disney Channel Voices with his song All My Love, and he has been releasing music independently ever since. I believe his first songs were with Disney Channel Voices, and he started releasing music himself independently again in 2023. I feel like it's early in Dakota's career still, but a long way to go. And in terms of does he count, I'm going to say he undoubtedly does. Yeah, he did a theme tune for Disney Channel. They don't just give theme tunes to anyone. If you've done a theme tune, you basically count. But not always. Don't take my word on that entirely. Which makes him the 43rd Disney Channel pop star, and of course brings me on to his co-star, Ruby Rose Turner, who of course played Cami Rather in Coop and Cami Ask the World, also sung the theme tune for Coop and Cami Rather, because they did the theme tune together. I don't really need to go through all of this. She actually went on to feature on Disney Channel Voices twice. She has Ruby Rock and The Mirror. On top of this, she's featured on 2 Disney Channel soundtracks, one of these of course being Coop and Cami Ask the World, the other one being the Descendants: Rise of Red soundtrack. She actually appears in Descendants: Rise of Red as the young Queen of Hearts. She hasn't actually done any official music since the Disney Channel Voices era, but she did release 2 singles with Disney, which means I am undoubtedly going to say she absolutely counts. Did that look good? Did that cool? I feel like I timed that quite well. So yeah, of course, she is the 44th Disney Channel pop star. Again, I swear some of them aren't going to count. Just we've got to get through these Disney Channel Voices, kids, because like it's the grey area. Which brings me on to the next one. We have none other than Ruth Riggy. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your surname. She obviously starring here as Sydney Reynolds in Sydney to the Max. Obviously, she's the main character in that show, and has the theme tune for Sydney to the Max, which is Stay the Same. Again, I don't know how this goes because I don't really know the shows from this era. She obviously features on Disney Channel Voices with her song Curls, which is a song. Also, on top of this, she appears in the Disney Princess Remixed, which is basically this thing where they got the Disney Channel stars to sing Disney princess songs, which sounds a lot like the DISNEYMANIA CDs from the early 2000s, and it pretty much is that, to be honest, but this is just their rebrand of it on YouTube, where they get them to sing classic Disney princess songs. And similarly to Ruby Rose Turner, she hasn't actually released any music outside of this Disney Channel Voices stuff. Her only real single is Curls, and like the stuff she did with Disney Princess Remixed, but I think it counts as releasing singles. She did singles like independently, just happened to be like promoted by Disney, but it's like a real song. So yeah, again, Ruby Rigi or Raihi, depending on how you say it, counts absolutely, making her the 45th Disney Channel pop star. Bring me on to none other than Audrey from Descendants. You guys know Audrey from Descendants. Her real name is coming to me. It's Sarah Jeffrey. That is her name. She, of course, starred as Audrey in Descendants. I don't know how many times I've said that. And features on free Disney Channel soundtracks because of that. But there's a twist. Not all of these soundtracks are the Descendants soundtracks. Yes, she sings Set It Off in Descendants 1 and has a few songs on Descendants 3, with Queen of Mean actually being a pretty big hit. But the final one of these songs is actually My Kind of Monster and Got You Under the Wraps from the Under Wraps 2 2022 movie, Disney Channel movie soundtrack. Of course, as I just said, Queen of Mean from Descendants 3 is actually a platinum record. She also released music with Disney Channel Voices with the song Even the Stars, and I believe she started releasing music with a record label in 2020 and has her song Suffer that came out in 2021 with Rock Mafia Records. Anyway, yeah, Sarah Jeffrey, obviously, as a Descendants star, is going to count. I don't even know why I'm wasting time with this. Yes, she counts, making her officially the 46th Disney Channel pop star. Bringing me on to the next one, we have none other than Sienna Agudong. Sorry, I should have looked into how to pronounce your surnames, guys. I'm sorry. I hope I got that kind of close to right. Let's talk about Sienna Agudong. She has 878 monthly listeners on Spotify. Respectable. I don't have 878 monthly listeners on Spotify. I don't know why I laughed there. That was very rude of me. Some of you might know she's been more of a Nickelodeon star. I think she started on Nickelodeon, but she did appear and star as Rihanna Carvajal in Upside Down Magic in 2020. She also has a song on Disney Channel Voices called A Place for Us, which she sings with her co-star in the movie, Isabella Rose. Other than that, though, she has not actually got any music. Which brings me to the question, does she count? She made one song with Disney Channel all the way back in 2020. I'm still saying yes, she does, because if she goes on to make music later on in her career, everyone's gonna be like, oh, did you know she made her first song with Disney and you just like didn't realize she was a Disney star? She counts, 100%. She's the 47th. Which brings me on to her actual co-star, who's also in this movie, Isabella Rose. Also has 31,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. She also starred in that movie, playing Nori Horace this time, and also featured on Disney Channel Voices, again, A Place for Us, which she sung with Sienna Agudong. She also features on Disney Princess Remixed. As I kind of mentioned earlier, the song that Ruth Ree's on is also her song, Almost There, in the Disney Princess Remixed. And as I said, this is my point with Sienna Agudong. Yeah, maybe she hadn't done any songs since 2020. Neither had Isabella Rose until recently, but she has, as of this year, started releasing with a label. She has a song called Sunkissed, which came out this year, and I'm sure it's good, but I have not listened to it. Isabella Rose, therefore, obviously also counts. I don't even need to do the scale. I've already kind of just said she counts, which makes her officially the 48th Disney Channel pop star. Which brings us to the end of this Disney Channel Voices section, the grey area, as I've been calling it. I think it's just a little bit weird, you know, like Disney Channel Voices, they were kind of releasing music with Disney, but they kind of weren't. I think it counts. I think they all count as Disney Channel pop stars. But again, it's kind of still at the very tip of the iceberg. And now we're actually going to start going a bit lower. Did you know in the early 2000s, Disney Channel made a band of the stars on their shows? A literal music group was formed out of the stars of their shows. To us, you probably did if you're watching this video. You probably know a few things about Disney Channel pop stars and are very familiar with the Disney Channel Circle of Stars. That's what it's called. I don't actually have a slide for its logo because I've just realized I made that mistake. So the Disney Channel Circle of Stars was formed in 2003 and performed and released music with Walt Disney Records, which again, back to the timeline, 2003 is very much within the Disney Channel canon. Now, there were a few later iterations of this group, but they were in the future, so obviously also within the canon, and the original one was in 2003, so let's talk about them first. This is actually the first iteration of the Disney Channel Circle of Stars. There's probably quite a few people here that you recognize. This is them performing Circle of Life back in 2003. They have like this core group here. And then there was a second one they did in 2005 for the song A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes. Again, it's kind of the same core group with just a few different people, but again, all people you'll recognize. Let's talk about the first person who appears in these groups, who actually appeared on the Disney Channel for the first time in 1999. Kyla Pratt, appearing here as a character called Camilla from So Weird. Her name sounds so mean. I don't know if that's just an English thing, but Pratt is like an insult. And I feel bad saying that. She doesn't actually have Spotify, hence the NA on her Spotify account here, which as you could probably tell, isn't the best sign for me calling her a Disney Channel pop star. She obviously starred as Penny Proud in the Proud Family, so her biggest thing was really not in the live action stuff, but she did appear in So Weird and Lizzie McGuire in live action form. She went on to feature on 2 DisneyMania and 2 Radio Disney soundtracks with the songs Circle of Life and A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes from the Disney Circle of Stars group performances appearing on DisneyMania and Radio Disney. But other than that, she doesn't actually have any music. Bring me to the scale. Does Kyla Pratt count? She was part of a Disney Channel music group, but didn't do any music outside of that? No, I'm saying she doesn't count. You see, some people don't count, and she doesn't. She hasn't pursued music outside of that, like, stint in the Disney Channel Circle of Stars, so yeah, she doesn't count. Bringing me on to the next one. Who's next? You might recognize her. It's none other than Brenda Song. Yes, this is actually Brenda Song playing a character called Samantha in The Ultimate Christmas Present from the year 2000. Brenda Song, though, I think you're probably more familiar with her for playing London Tipton in The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and The Sweet Life on Deck. So she starred on the Disney Channel for about 6 consecutive years and has very recently actually started voicing a character for the Disney Channel show Amphibia. Of course, she also is on the A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Make one, so features on 2 DisneyMania soundtracks and 1 Radio Disney soundtrack, and she features on 2 Disney Channel soundtracks. But I must say this with a caveat. It's claimed she had this song on IMDb called I'm Not That Girl from Wendy Wu Homecoming Warrior, her movie on the Disney Channel, and for the life of me, I can't find this song. I don't know if this song exists. So for the record, there might just only be 1 song. To be fair, I probably should have just said she's only got 1 song. She has the song No Big Deal on the Amphibia Battle of the Bands soundtrack. Obviously, as I said, she's starring in an Amphibia now. That's her main song that she's done for Disney Channel, and that was in 2021. Hence the 14,000 monthly listeners, despite the fact she doesn't actually have any music. Opening up the question, does she count? She has 1 song with Disney Channel. She had a few songs with Disney Stars. No, she doesn't count. Yeah, she's sung a few times. Does that make her a pop star? Not really. I've sung a few times in videos. Do you guys consider me a pop star? I hope not. Bring me on to the next one. We have AJ Trauth here appearing as Alan Whitty in Even Stevens. Let's move on to AJ Trauth's slide. Again, AJ Trauth does not actually have Spotify himself. Obviously, AJ Trauth starred as Alan Twitty in Even Stevens and sings The Circle of Life on 2 DisneyMania soundtracks and a Radio Disney soundtrack. He formed a band called Mavin in 2002. Now, this is where it gets a bit weird. He formed this band, so it's not him as a solo artist, but this band itself, which consisted of him, his brothers, and some guy called Mike T. Is that his full name, Mike T, or have I made a mistake there? Either way, this band started releasing music independently in 2003. And they actually also had a song feature on the Disney Channel movie, You Wish, their song Now and Again. And also they sing Chosen One in the American Dragon Jake Long theme tune. Now, you might think, I thought the Jonas Brothers sang the American Dragon Jake Long theme tune. That is true. From season 2 onwards, Mavin were replaced by the Jonas Brothers to sing this theme tune. But for season 1, the Chosen One theme tune was sung by AJ Trauth and his band. They also have another song on a Walt Disney movie soundtrack, being Herbie Fully Loaded, where they sing Welcome to My World. That was in 2005, but they haven't actually done any more music since 2007. So he hasn't pursued music, his band haven't pursued music, but, you know, they did quite a lot of stuff with Disney as well. So, call me crazy here. I actually think AJ Trauth counts, yeah. I think he is the 49th Disney Channel pop star. It's a close one for sure, but I think he made enough music with Disney. He did a theme tune, guys. He made a Disney Channel show theme tune. They don't just give theme tunes to anyone. Which brings me on to the next one. We have none other than Taj Mowry here appearing as Jay Martin in the movie Hounded from the year 2001. Let's get on to the slide. So Taj Mowry, once again, doesn't actually have a Spotify account, which isn't a great sign, but my thing is, I think he just came too early. Like, if he came on a little later on, I think he'd have a real chance of being one, but he just didn't come on late enough. So, like, he appeared as a character called Teddy in Full House, and Full House is one of those sitcoms that ABC was making before Disney bought ABC, so it's like a Disney Channel show before Disney Channel made their own shows. It's a bit of a confusing one. I don't really want to get into all of it. And the main stuff he did with Disney Channel in the actual, like, Disney Channel era we're familiar with now was the voice acting stuff, like he's in Aladdin, he's in Timon and Pumbaa, and of course, he stars as Wade Lode in Kim Possible. And the main song he did was, of course, The Circle of Life in 2 DisneyMania and 1 Radio Disney soundtrack. He did actually, though, start releasing music independently in 2015. He had an EP called Future Funk, which he released that year, but he has not released anything since. And he's also removed Future Funk and all of his other songs that he ever released off Spotify, making this quite a weird case. Like, he released music, he did stuff with Disney. Does he count, is the question. I'm going to say he just about doesn't count. It's genuinely, a few years later, he's doing music with Disney Channel. He's 10 years younger, he's doing music with Disney Channel, 100%. Bringing on to the next one, it is none other than Orlando Brown. This is Orlando Brown playing a character called Travis in Lizzie McGuire. Let's get on to the slide. So Orlando Brown has 5.6 thousand monthly listeners. It's always a good sign when they have monthly listeners because it means they have a Spotify account. He, of course, starred as Eddie Thomas in That's So Raven, but he also did a lot of voice acting work with Disney. Before this, he was Sticky Webb in The Proud Family, and he played Cornelius Fillmore in Fillmore, and of course he actually sings in the That's So Raven theme tune with Raven-Symoné. Like, there's a few of them singing the That's So Raven theme tune if you remember it. And this led to him appearing in 3 Disney Channel soundtracks. Of course, he has the That's So Raven theme tune on the original That's So Raven soundtrack. He also sings on the That's So Raven 2 soundtrack with his song Will It Go Round in Circles and Little by Little. And Will It Go Round in Circles also appears in the Wendy Wu Homecoming Warrior soundtrack. This one actually does appear in it as well. Of course, like everyone else, he features on a bunch of DisneyMania and Radio Disney soundtracks because of his appearances with the Disney Channel Circle of Stars, with a Circle of Life and A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes. He's on both of them. But you might have noticed he has a little extra on here. That's because he has a song called Super Kylie on the DisneyMania 4 soundtrack. He actually released this under the name Boy OB. So I take it his name is Orlando Brown. There's the OB, and he's Boy OB. It's all one word. I take it that was like the stage name he was using as a musician. But the weird thing is, I can't find any other songs that go by the name Boy OB. I can't find any music by anyone called Boy OB. One song is Boy OB, and it was for a DisneyMania soundtrack, and everything else he's just released under his real name, Orlando Brown. I don't really get it, but he has, of course, actually started releasing music with a label in 2006. He released the album called Trade It All. Now he's releasing music independently. He actually launched his own label called Young Star Entertainment in 2019. Bringing me on to the big question, does he count or doesn't he count? I am going to say he absolutely counts, making him officially the 50th Disney Channel pop star. We are at 50. Bring me on to the next one. No, not Raven-Symoné. Anneliese van der Pol. Yes, Anneliese van der Pol. She's obviously appearing as Chelsea Daniels in That's So Raven. And let's get on to her slide. She, of course, has 14,000 monthly listeners on Spotify and starred in That's So Raven as Chelsea Daniels, as I just said. She also sings the That's So Raven theme tune with Orlando Brown and and Raven-Symoné, and also appears on 5 Disney Channel soundtracks. So, of course, she has the That's So Raven song. She also has Over It from Stuck in the Suburbs, and the songs A Day in the Sun, Friends, and Let's Stick Together from the That's So Raven 2 soundtrack, which was, of course, a very successful soundtrack and actually hit 44 in the charts. She then went on to feature on 3 DisneyMania and 2 Radio Disney soundtracks. This is, of course, with A Circle of Life and A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes, but also she has Candle on the Water in DisneyMania 4, so another appearance in DisneyMania 4, funnily enough. She started releasing music with a label in 2012 and released the song Stand Tall, which was her big lead single that she came out with, and then she actually returned to the Disney Channel as Chelsea to reprise the character in Raven's Home, where she once again sings in the theme tune of Raven's Home, but actually she hasn't actually released any music other than Stand Tall in 2012. That's her only song that I can find on record. Which brings me to the big question, does she count? I'm going to say she absolutely does. She has a song, guys. She sings. If she went on to be a huge successful musician, everyone would be saying she's a Disney Channel pop star. It's not my fault she only released 1 song, but she did still release 1 song, so that makes her a pop star to an extent, making her officially the 51st Disney Channel pop star. Bring me on to the next one. We have none other than Ricky Ullman. This is Ricky Ullman appearing as Roscoe in Pixel Perfect here. He starred as Phil Duffy in Phil of the Future, obviously the main character being Phil. He also sung A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes with the Disney Channel Circle of Stars, which appears on 2 DisneyMania and 1 Radio Disney soundtracks, but he has not got any official music. But with that said, he has worked as a touring musician in his life, so he is somewhat connected with music, but he hasn't done any like solo music projects or anything, or even with a band. Like, he hasn't been like a recording artist at all. Bringing us to the question, does he count? I don't think it's going to be too big a surprise when I say he doesn't count. Bringing us on to the next one, we have, Phil of the Future again, and we of course have Amy Bruckner, who plays Pim Duffy in Phil of the Future. So we've got Amy Bruckner, once again does not have a Spotify, which isn't a great sign, but she obviously starred as Pim Duffy in Phil of the Future, and then of course appears in the Disney Channel Circle of Stars and sings A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes, which appears on Disney and Radio Disney soundtracks. Other than that though, she has not done any official music, which brings you to a hugely shocking reveal that she does not count. Bringing on to the next one, we have None other than Cole and Dylan Sprouse, obviously Zach and Cody from The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Let's talk about Cole Sprouse first. Okay, again, no Spotify. He starred as Cody Martin in The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody and The Sweet Life on Deck. Features on the A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes with the Disney Channel stars. He also features on a few other soundtracks and sings in a few musical episodes of Riverdale, but none of them are with the Disney Channel. This is his only song he did with the Disney Channel, and he doesn't have any like solo music or like any musical recordings really outside of that. So I don't think it's going to be any shock to anyone when I say that Cole Sprouse doesn't count. Which brings me on to his brother Dylan Sprouse, who also just happened to star in Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and did A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes, and also doesn't have any official music, and it's no shock to anyone that he also doesn't count. Yeah, great. Let's move on to the next one. This is a big one. I don't know why it's not playing. We have none other than Ashley Tisdale. Obviously, we have her here playing Maddie Fitzpatrick in Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, but she also did something else notable that you might know about. Anyway, Ashley Tisdale has 1.2 million monthly listeners on Spotify, and the first thing she actually did with Disney, like not Disney Channel, Disney, was A Bug's Life, which is cool because, you know, I'm a Pixar guy. Anyway, she starred as Maddie Fitzpatrick in The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. I've already said that. But she also, and maybe this is more notable, starred as Sharpay Evans in High School Musical. Yes, she had 2 big roles in the early 2000s with Disney. And, of course, she featured in 4 top 100 Disney Channel soundtracks for this. She didn't just have High School Musical 1, High School Musical 2, High School Musical 3, but she also... And the 4th top 100 soundtrack is the Phineas and Ferb soundtrack, which she features on. I don't know if you know this, she plays Candace in Phineas and Ferb. Also, this is not including the Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure soundtrack, which she features on, obviously. That did not break into the top 100 of the Billboard 200. I don't even think it broke into the top 200 of the Billboard 200. It is in the gutter where it belongs because that is a dreadful movie. I'm so sorry. That's the most angry I've got all video. She also has 7 top 100 Disney Channel singles, obviously all Sharpay Evans, and probably the biggest of these is What Time Is It, which hit number 6 in the charts at its peak. Of course, she also was part of the Disney Channel Circle of Stars, so therefore features in free DisneyMania and free Radio Disney soundtracks. She also notably covers Kiss the Girl from the Little Mermaid soundtrack, just as a solo artist on the DisneyMania soundtrack. Finally, she started releasing music with a label in 2007. She released 2 albums called Headstrong and Guilty Pleasure, both of which broke into the top 20 of the charts. I believe Headstrong, her first album, is actually certified gold as well, but neither of those albums were with Disney, very interestingly. I'm sure they tried to get her on their books, they just didn't. However, with that said, she hasn't released any new music since 2020, so yeah, she must be taking a little bit of break from music right now. With that said though, the big question, what you're all wondering, does she count? Is she a Disney Channel pop star? Yes, she is. I mean, anyone who did songs with Disney first and then went on to make music themselves is a Disney pop star as far as I'm concerned. Okay, that is the rules, essentially. She is the 52nd Disney Channel pop star, which brings us to the end of the first 2 iterations of the Disney Channel Circle of Stars. After 2005, they took quite a long break and didn't do another Disney Channel Circle of Stars performance until 2014, where they did a cover of Do You Want to Build a Snowman? And this was pretty much just posted to YouTube, but it has 140 million views on there at the time of recording this video. The weird thing is though, pretty much no one in this group that I haven't mentioned already went on to pursue music. So I'm going to try and go through them as quickly as possible. Lee Allen Baker. Obviously, you know Lee Allen Baker. She starred as Amy Duncan in Good Luck Charlie. She did not pursue music. I'm not even going to do the scale for them. You just know they don't count. Now, Leo Howard obviously doesn't have any monthly listeners. He starred as Leo Little in Leo Little's Big Show. It's a short show that they made back in 2009. He also starred as Jack Brewer in Kicking It. And actually, in his case, he did form a band in 2017. So let's quickly talk about his band, Ask Jonesy and Company. Here we have them. So Ask Jonesy and Company features him, Troy Romzek, and Ricky Ficciarelli. Now, Troy Romzek actually did appear in Zeke and Luther and in Kicking It. Ricky, I don't believe, have featured in any Disney Channel shows ever. So maybe they could somewhat be considered a Disney Channel band, but they released a few songs independently in 2017 and haven't released anything since 2018 when they went on a hiatus, which they called a prolonged break. So I think it's safe to say they're probably not getting back together anytime soon. I don't think they count. I'm not going to do the scale. Jake Short. We have Jake Short. Obviously, he starred as Fletcher Quimby in Ant Farm. He also starred as Oliver in Mighty Med and Lab Rats Elite Force. And of course, also is in the Disney Channel Circle of Stars, Do You Want to Build a Snowman? But doesn't have any music. Which brings us to Bradley Stephen Perry. Again, no monthly listeners on Spotify because he doesn't have a Spotify account. He starred as Gabe Duncan in Good Luck Charlie and then went on to have his own show in Lab Rats where he's played a character called Casimiris and obviously again appeared in the sequel show Lab Rats Elite Force. Again, no official official music because he did not pursue a career as a musician. Then we have Tyler Jackson Williams. Tyler Jackson Williams appears as Leo Dooley in Lab Rats. He started releasing music independently in 2015, where he actually started releasing, oh my god, he actually monthly listeners. Sorry, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we do have someone who did music here. I mean, he released his music under the name TJ Online, and I believe most of the stuff he did was on SoundCloud until he formed a band called Group Therapy in 2019. This group, obviously, let's quickly talk about them, consists of him, Coy Stewart, Elijah Johnson, and Jada Grace. Could not tell you which one's which, but I'm going to guess she's Jada Grace. Coy Stewart is the only other member other than Tyrell who appears on the Disney Channel. He appears in an episode of Good Luck Charlie. And as a group, they have released some music together. They've been releasing music independently since 2020. They have a few EPs, mixtape. They have one album called I Was Mature for My Age, But I Was Still a Child. They've also had a few membership situations with Elijah leaving pretty much at their start and Tyrell leaving as of this year. So he's no longer part of the band, despite the fact they've done pretty well for themselves. I just don't think they count as a Disney Channel pop group. Which brings me on to the next one, Dylan Riley Snyder. He made his first appearance and starred as Milton Krupnick in Kicking It. He also played a young Tarzan on Broadway in 2006. So he started his career as a musician, and of course featured on this Do You Want to Build a Snowman song, but again, doesn't have any official music, as you can tell, so it doesn't count. Which brings me on to Blake Michael. Now, this one's a bit more interesting. As you can see, there's a few monthly listeners here, and that's because he first appeared and starred as Charlie Delgado in Lemonade Mouth. Yeah, he's one of the members of Lemonade Mouth, so obviously features on the Lemonade Mouth soundtrack, which hit number 4 in the charts, and has a few songs from that soundtrack that did quite well as well. Turn Up the Music from Lemonade Mouth hitting 112 in the charts, so, it's not quite in the Hot 100, but it's only 12 off. It's pretty unlucky. He then went on and did his main thing with the Disney Channel, where he starred as Tyler James in Dog River Blog. I believe he's the older brother in that show, but the Dog River Blog soundtrack does not feature him, and he also just simply doesn't have any official music. His only music is the Lemonade Mouth soundtrack, which has caught him 364 monthly listeners on Spotify still in September 2024, even though that movie came out 14 years ago, and rightly so. Which brings me to Austin North. Austin North actually first appeared as a character called Ricky Weaver in Kickin' It, and then starred as Logan Watson in I Didn't Do It. Again, despite the fact he features in the Disney Channel Circle and Stars song, he does not have any music. Which brings me on to the next one, Peyton List. You might know Peyton List for starring as Emma Ross in Jessie and Bunked. She also actually did start releasing music. Oh my god, we actually have someone who made music. She released the songs called Liar Liar and Don't Cry in 2018 and 2019 with a label, but hasn't actually released any music since then. So she released 2 songs. And the only song she ever did with Disney was this Do You Want to Build a Snowman cover, where she sung with about 50 other people. Yeah, I don't think she counts, absolutely not. Karen Bra also starred in Jessie as Ravi, and again, does not have any music. And then we have another Jessie star, Sky Jackson. She starred as Zuri Ross in Jessie, and of course Bunked as well, and does not have any official music. You're getting shocked by this. Then we have another Jessie. Oh, he actually has 73,000 monthly listeners, so let's give credit where it's due. Obviously, yeah, he starred as Bertram Winkle in Jessie, and he also appears in the Teen Beach movie as Dr. Fusion, so you'd think he's on a soundtrack of some kind, but he's not. He doesn't sing in that movie whatsoever, but he has also started releasing music independently as of 2021. Now, as much as this sounds great and he has 73,000 monthly listeners, this doesn't count at all. The music he has been doing is like, he's like a TikTok meme. He has one song which is called I Want to Be in a Marvel Movie. It's a joke, and he sings it, and it's on his Spotify. That is the independent song he released, and he obviously also does the Disney Channel Circle of Stars thing, but does he count? Absolutely not. Which brings us to the next one, Kelly Berglund. Now, you might know Kelly as starring as Brie Davenport in Lab Rats and Lab Rats Elite Force. She also sings Something Real with China Anne McClain in the How to Build a Better Boy soundtrack, but the 5.8k on her Spotify is all because of that song, because she did not release any official music. Let's move on. Piper Curtis, she has 444 monthly listeners. She actually first appeared on Ant Farm as a character called Kennedy, but she starred as Jasmine Yang in I Didn't Do It. That's the main thing she did on the Disney Channel. She also appears in Teen Beach Movie 2, but again, does not have any musical numbers, and the only music she released was actually with a label in 2014. I think she did music with Drew Wright Music, so like a pretty reputable label, and released like 3 songs with them, but hasn't released anything since 2014, so it was a short-lived dream of becoming a musician, I guess. So let's move on to the next one, Joey Bragg. Again, no Spotify, so no shocks here. He starred as Joey Rooney in Liv and Maddie. That was his first appearance on the Disney Channel, and he starred in that show. He also sings Deck the Halls on Liv and Maddie, but that isn't on the soundtrack or anything. It's just something they sang on the show. He has no official music. He doesn't count. Let's move on to the next one. Tenzing Norgay Trainer. I hope I pronounced that right. He obviously first appeared and also starred in Liv and Maddie, being Parker Rooney in that show, and also sings Deck the Halls in the show, but again, does not have any official music other than his one appearance in the Disney Channel Circle of Stars. Gracie Gilliam, 1.5 million monthly listeners on Spotify. There's no way this can't count, right? Just wait. She's the girl from the Teen Beach movie, as you may know. She plays Layla in the Teen Beach movie. So obviously, she features on 2 Disney Channel soundtracks, which both broke into the top 10 in the charts. The Teen Beach movie, the first one, hit number 3 in the charts and is certified gold. She also has the song Cruisin' for a Bruisin' from Teen Beach movie, which hit 82 in the charts. So a hugely successful number that. So, you know, she has some music, which is hence the 1.5 million monthly listeners, but has not pursued music outside of the Teen Beach movie. So as I said again, does not count. Bringing us to Peyton Clark. He first appeared and starred as Garrett Spenger in I Didn't Do It, and guess what? He doesn't have any music. Bringing us to Sarah Gilman, who starred and first appeared as Delia Delfano in I Didn't Do It, and you never guess what? She doesn't have any official music. Bringing us to Rowan Blanchard. Again, 256,000 monthly listeners. Surely Rowan Blanchard is pursuing a career as a musician. She starred as Riley Matthews in Girl Meets World. Oh my god, that is the show with Sabrina Carpenter. She also did the theme tune Take on the World in Girl Meets World with Sabrina Carpenter. She hasn't released any official music. The monthly listeners is because Sabrina Carpenter and her song has a lot of listens, because Sabrina Carpenter has like 100 million monthly listens on Spotify now, and everything she's ever done is just getting listened to right now, including this song, which is on Spotify. Which brings us to the end of the Disney Channel Circle of Stars class of 2014. A very forgettable class of the Disney Channel Circle of Stars. Now, it's from here that the Disney Channel Circle of Stars technically finishes. They don't do anything else as the Disney Channel Circle of Stars. But I think technically they just changed the name, because in 2018, Disney released a song to their YouTube by the Disney Channel Stars. So I guess they dropped the circle of and sung the song Legendary for the Disney YouTube channel, and I'm assuming it showed up on the Disney Channel as well. And as you can see, it's a whole new cast. So I'm going to take you through these people too, because I think this counts. Bringing us to the first one, it's none other than Kylie Russell. Now, Kylie Russell actually first appeared on the Disney Channel back in 2007 in the movie Jump In. But obviously, she didn't really start appearing and starring in Disney Channel stuff until much later on in her career. So let's talk about her. Let's get onto her slide. She has 547,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and that is because she stars as Eliza Zambi in the Zombies movies. So because of this, she features in 3 Disney Channel soundtracks, but again, these aren't all zombies. So she's in Zombies 1, yes, that hit 55 in the charts. She's in Zombies 2, yes, that hit number 44 in the charts. But she doesn't actually have any songs in Zombies 3. That is because at the time of recording of Zombies 3, Kylie was pregnant with her child, and all of her scenes were recorded remotely. Her third soundtrack appearance is actually on the Raven's Home musical episode. Now, I've mentioned this a few times already in this video, because there's a few Raven's Home stars that appear in the Raven's Home musical episode. She, though, has never been on Raven's Home. The reason she appears on this soundtrack is because Legendary by the Disney Channel Stars is on the Raven's Home soundtrack. So I'm counting that as her third soundtrack appearance, meaning pretty much everyone on this list is going to appear on a Disney Channel soundtrack because this song is included on a Disney Channel soundtrack. Beyond that though, she started releasing music with a label in 2021. She released the song Stitches with NTR Associates, but to this day, that is her only release. And to be fair to her, she did literally have a kid in 2021, so I don't think this has been her priority from that point onwards. Which brings me to the big question. Does Kylie Russell count? I actually don't even know what I decided. Yes, she does! I mean, I think that's fair enough. She's featured on both the first 2 Zombies soundtracks with loads of musical numbers, and then started releasing music herself in 2021, like basically straight after the second Zombies movie. She hasn't pursued music because she has a kid now, which is fair enough, but like, she still could come back and release more music if she wants to later on. She's the 53rd Disney Channel pop star. Don't at me on that. Why did I say something that was like, why did I do that? Why did I say that? Oh god, I hate everything about that. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Who's next? We have none other than Kayla Maisonette. So this is obviously Kayla Maisonette playing Lindsey in Dog with a Blog. Let's talk about Kayla Maisonette for a second. She obviously starred as Georgie Diaz in Stuck in the Middle. She also obviously recurred as Lindsey in Dog with a Blog, as I mentioned. She sings on the Raven's Home musical, what is that title? Sorry, I didn't know that was the full title. So the full title of this soundtrack is called Raven's Home Remix, the musical episode, and has not pursued music outside of that. Does she count? I wonder. Oh, I wonder if she counts. No, she doesn't count. This is no shock to anyone. Let's go. Next one. Who is next? It is none other than Cozy Zuzeldorf. Any name that has a Z in it, I find hard to pronounce. 1.7 million monthly listeners on Spotify, so I'm getting my hopes up a little bit. We might have another one on our hands. Now, Cozy, a bit like a lot of other people in this video, started as a voice actor for Disney, or specifically the singing voice for one of the buttercups in Sophia the First. So I don't think she did the speaking, I think she literally just did one of the singing voices. So she was like scouted by Disney, she was cast by Disney to be a singer, basically, and eventually got a recurring role in Mighty Med, where she played Jordan. She appeared in a lot of shows, but like she never was like a star in any of them. But you know, she was a star in her own right, don't get me wrong. She started releasing music with a label in 2014. I think she did her first EP called Originals. She then starred as Ellie Blake in the movie Freaky Friday. Out of the 12 songs on the Freaky Friday musical soundtrack from 2018, she is singing on 10 of them, but the soundtrack didn't chart or anything, so you know, it's just one of her soundtrack appearances, of which she has 3. Obviously, we also have Legendary on Raven's Home, the remix, the musical episode. And she also sings a few songs on High School Musical, the musical, the series, the final season. She started releasing music independently, I think, as of 2018. So yeah, and she's still releasing music independently to this day. Which brings us to the question, does she count? I'm going to say an absolute definitive yes! Sorry, I kind of jumped the gun on that a little bit, but I just knew she was going to count, so there was no doubt in my mind. Making her the 54th, she was basically cast to sing by Disney, and then yeah, she's done singing with Disney, she's on their soundtracks, and now she's releasing music independently, but like, she counts. I don't think there's any debate over this. Don't discuss this with me. I basically just twisted the way of saying don't at me to just sounding more nerdy. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. I'm over here again. Let's go this. Who is this? This is Madison Who playing Marcy in Best Friends Whenever. Madison Who? Am I right? No, sorry. She has 30,000 monthly listeners and starred as Frankie Wong in Bizaardvark. Obviously, her Best Friends Whenever appearance was before this, but her big starring role was in Bizaardvark. She sings a bunch of songs on Bizaardvark, including the Bizaardvark theme tune, and yeah, that's one of her soundtrack appearances, the other one being Legendary on the Raven's Home musical remix soundtrack. Yes. Other than that, though, she has not pursued music. So does she count? I don't think it's going to be too big a shock to anyone. This is spinning for longer than it needs to. No, she doesn't count. Bringing us on to the next one. Who is it? It is none other than... That is Jenna Ortega. Wow, okay, I recognize this person. I know this person. This is Jenna Ortega's Harley Diaz in Stuck in the Middle. I keep saying this stuff before it comes up on screen, and then the exact same thing just comes up on screen behind me. I don't even know why I bother. I should have just like waited for like 10 seconds. She has officially 2 soundtrack appearances with Disney Channel, because she actually also started starring as Princess Isabel in Elena of Avalor in the same year, and she sings a song called Sister Time on that soundtrack, also alongside Legendary. Yeah, okay. Outside of that, though, she has not pursued music. She is acting. She is doing very well for herself. I don't think we need to discredit her in any way, but we are going to say that she ultimately does not count as a Disney Channel pop star. Bringing us to the next one, it is not another, this is another one I recognize. It's Olivia Rodrigo. Let's go. This is probably someone you've all been waiting for me to talk about. She has nearly 50 million monthly listeners on Spotify, and I just want to say, I don't think I've given enough opinions in this video at all. Great musician. I love both of her albums. She doesn't have a bad song. Okay, sorry, let's keep going. She starred as Paige Olvera in Bizaardvark, and she sings the Bizaardvark theme tune and also has a bunch of other songs on the Bizaardvark soundtrack. She also starred as Nene Salazar-Roberts in High School Musical, the musical, the series, which led to her featuring in just an insane number of Disney Channel soundtracks, just the 6 Disney Channel soundtracks. Let me take you through them quickly. She has the Bizaardvark soundtrack. She also has Legendary on That's So Raven's Home. She also then has High School Musical, the series, the soundtrack, which came out in 2020 and hit actually number 31 in the charts at its peak and is certified gold. She then appears on High School Musical, She also appeared in High School Musical, the holiday special, the soundtrack, which came out in 2020. Then she's in High School Musical, the series, the soundtrack 2 for season 2. And then finally, she sings the song You Never Know on High School Musical, the series, the soundtrack, season 3. She only kind of came back for like a few episodes that season and doesn't come back for the final season because obviously she was doing other things. She did have a huge song though from High School Musical, the series, being All I Want, which actually broke into the charts and is platinum. Yeah, she just left the show with its biggest song and has started releasing music with a label in 2021. That's 3 years. She's only been doing music for 3 years. Pretty much every single one of her songs is charted. Almost all of them are certified platinum in the US. She's won 3 Grammys. Basically any record in the music industry of like the youngest person to do this, it's her. Okay, I'm tired of this. Is she a Disney Channel pop star? Oh, I wonder if Olivia Rodrigo is going to count. Yes, of course she does. Let's bring it to number 55. Who's next? Not you again. No. Devor Ledridge. That's who we're talking about next. Devor Ledridge, obviously first starring as Amelia Duckworth in Bizaardvark. Let's talk about her. So to start, she starred as Amelia Duckworth in Bizaardvark. Again, I'm just saying the information before it even needs to be said. She features, that's all she did, by the way. No, she just has that one song which everyone else had. Remember that when we were talking about that before, Olivia Rodrigo? And she doesn't have any official music. Does she count? Oh, I wonder if she counts or not. I wonder if this is going to say yes or no. It's going to say no. Let's move on to the next one. Who's next? Peyton Elizabeth Lee, the star of Andy Mack, or Andy Mack herself. She has 1.5 thousand monthly listens on Spotify. Again, she starred as Andy Mack in Andy Mack. And she actually features in 3 Disney Channel soundtracks, one of them being her song Love is a Battlefield, not her song, the song Love is a Battlefield from the Prom Pack soundtrack. She also sings The Pressure on the Secret Society of Second Born Royals, and of course has Legendary with the Disney Channel stars on the Raven's Home soundtrack, the musical episode soundtrack. Other than that though, she doesn't have any music. Does she count? It's no, by the way, she doesn't count, but that took a bit too long. Who's next? This is none other than Sophia Wiley. This is the exact same clip, by the way, as that last moment. They both made an appearance in the same scene. This is Sophia Wiley playing Buffy Driscoll in that show. And again, that's gonna be the first point on the slide, isn't it? Oh wow, what did it say? Oh yeah, I already said that. She has 128,000 monthly listeners on Spotify though, so she must have done something else, and that is, yes, she starred as Gina Porter in High School Musical, the musical, the series, which means she's featured on a lot of Disney Channel soundtracks. So as I kind of covered earlier, there's about 5 High School Musical, the series soundtracks. There's the first one, there's the holiday special, there's the second one, there's the third one, and there's the fourth one. She's on all 5 of them, and then also sings Legendary on the Raven's Home soundtrack. And she also actually appears in a Marvel's Rising Initiation and has the song Side by Side on that. So that's not really Disney, to be fair, but like it's owned by Disney. So I'm going to say that she made a song with Disney to an extent there, but other than that, she doesn't have any official music. Bringing us to the scale, does she count? No. Oh yeah, this is Navia Robinson or Nia Baxter from Raven's Home. I wonder if she's on the Raven's Home musical episode soundtrack. So she has 11,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Obviously, she starred as Nia Baxter Carter. Sorry, I didn't say Carter when I mentioned her earlier. She also sings the Raven's Home theme tune, which is a big deal. As I say, anyone who does a theme tune is important to me. She also features on 2 Disney Channel soundtracks, being the Raven's Home musical episode soundtrack. Now, to be fair to her, she doesn't just sing Legendary with the Disney Channel stars on this one. She also sings Eye to Eye and Replay the Moment on that soundtrack. So she has like 3 songs on that soundtrack, and also has a couple more songs on Raven's Home, being One with the Drum and Smoky Flow, which aren't on like an official Raven's Home soundtrack, but were released as singles. And because they were released as singles, I'm just counting them as like one. It doesn't really make sense, but it's the best logic I could think of. She also did a song for Marvel's Rising, this one Playing with Fire, similarly to the last girl, whose name I can't even remember now. How quickly am I going through this? What was her name? Sophia Wiley. Sophia Wiley, if you're watching this video, I'm so sorry that I just forgot your name there. Okay. Anyway, she did a song on that similarly to Sophia Wiley, and has been making music, but hasn't released any official music since 2018. She does have one song on her Spotify called Love Don't Let Me Go, which isn't with Disney. And then she has 9 songs in total on her Spotify, and the other 8 are all with Disney. But the one song that isn't counts for something, and I'm telling you it counts for something because she is the 56th Disney Channel pop star. Who's next? Who's next? Oh yeah, it's Sky Cats. That's Sky Cats. I'm not going to say what character she's playing because the slide is going to do that job for me. Sky Cats starred in Raven's Home, didn't she? And I bet she played a character called Tess O'Malley. I actually got it right, yeah. She, similarly to Navia Robinson, sings on the Raven's Home theme tune and has 3 Disney Channel soundtrack appearances. So obviously, again, she has the musical episode of Raven's Home, which actually, for her, she has like 5 songs on it. I think she has like a freestyle number on there, and sings on the Kim Possible 2019 soundtrack. I almost said 2018 there, but I corrected myself, and I'm not going to do a second take of that, so you're just going to have to live with me explaining that I did that. And while Sky Cat seemingly just has an entire Disney-dedicated Spotify with 9 songs purely with Disney, she also has her own Spotify where she does her own original music and has also a lot of songs on there. Does she count though is the question. I'm gonna say yes, making her the 57th Disney Channel pop star. Now we have Dara Renee. So this is Dara Renee playing a character called Savannah in Freaky Friday. Let's talk about Dara Renee. Just the 789,000 monthly listens on Spotify. And obviously she starred in High School Musical, the series. She actually started releasing music independently in 2020. She has her own record label called Bodacious Butterfly. At least I think it's her own record label. I don't believe Bodacious Butterfly have released music with anyone else other than her, so I'm assuming she owns it, but I don't actually know for sure. She also starred as Uliana in Descendants, The Rise of Red, the very recent Descendants movie, which means she features on 8 Disney Channel soundtracks. That might be a record. So yeah, obviously she has the Raven's Home soundtrack, the Freaky Friday soundtrack, obviously I showed her in Freaky Friday earlier. She has the 5 High School Musical, the series, the soundtracks. And then, of course, she's on Descendants, The Rise of Red soundtrack singing Perfect Revenge. She's also featured on the Disney Princess Remixed, which, as I said earlier, is this thing that they did where they got the Disney Channel stars to sing Disney Princess songs. I think she has 2 of them. And despite doing all this stuff for Disney, she hasn't actually released any official music since 2020. So basically, she just has the one song called Evolution that she released in 2020. And that is it. Am I starting to lose my voice? Is this really happening? Does she count? Is she a Disney Channel pop star? Yes, she is. Making her the 58th. Next up, we have Olivia Senabia playing the character called Charlotte Rather in Coop and Cammy Ask the World. This is the older sister in Coop and Cammy Ask the World. Obviously, she starred as Charlotte Rather in Coop and Cammy Ask the World, and sings on the Raven's Home soundtrack with the Disney Channel stars. But with that said, she also has started releasing music independently in 2019. She's released 6 songs with what I believe is her own record label. It's called 33 Dreams. Again, no one else has released music with this record label, so I'm assuming it's hers, which means that I think I'm feeling pretty good about this one. Yeah, it counts. The 59th. Bringing us to the next one, we've got none other than Sophie Polino, obviously here playing Lane Reed in Fast Lane. Again, that is what the first line of this bullet point is going to say, isn't it? Obviously sung Legendary on the... Okay, who's shot? But she doesn't actually have any official music. The reason for the 146 monthly listens on Spotify, just to clarify, is because she plays Amy March in the Little Women musical. Which leads to the question, does she count? Oh, I wonder, someone with no official songs that appeared in one soundtrack appearance? No, of course she doesn't count. Anyway, that brings us to her co-star, if it wants to play. You gonna... Nope. Sophia Rosinski. So, as I said, she also starred in Fastlane, this time as Zora Morris, and she sings Legendary on the Raven's Home soundtrack. Does she have any official music? No, of course she doesn't. And does she count on the scale? I don't think so, no. Which finally brings us to the latest and most recent Disney Channel Stars project, Put the Happy in Holidays, which came out in 2020. Now, most people in this we've already gone through this video, but there are a few new faces, so we're just gonna quickly go through it. Firstly, we have Chandler Kinney. Now, this is Chandler Kinney's first appearance on the Disney Channel as Vanessa in Girl Meets World. But Chandler Kinney is probably more well known for starring as Willa Likinson in Disney's Zombies 2 and obviously Zombies 3. She isn't in the first one because she's one of the werewolves in the Zombies movies. This led to her appearing in 2 top 100 soundtracks with Disney. Obviously, Zombies 2 broke number 44 in the charts and Zombies 3, I think, hit number 66. She has a few songs on both of those soundtracks. Now, while she doesn't have any official songs, so to speak, she does have this Disney Channel Stars song, Put the Happy in Holidays, which isn't on any soundtracks, unlike the last one, and also has a song called Halloween House Party with Walt Disney Records that I can't really work out what was for, but does exist. Which brings us to the big question on everyone's lips. Does she count? No, she doesn't. She doesn't really have any music. So who's next? We have got none other than Trevor Troudman. This is Trevor Troudman in Zombies. Now, let's see what we have to say about you, Trevor. 261,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and once again, starred in Zombies, playing Bucky Buchanan. It wouldn't a nickname for Buchanan be Bucky, so you could be called Bucky? Maybe that's the joke. Anyway, he features on all 3 of the Zombies soundtracks, which, as I said, all broke into the top 100 of the US charts, because he, for one, didn't actually get pregnant for the 3rd Zombies movie. And he went on to star as Parker Preston in Bunked. So, Bunked's a very long show. I think it's the longest running Disney Channel show of all time. And they basically just rebooted their entire cast for one of the later seasons. And he comes in, I think, in season 4 or 5. And of course, he doesn't have any official music, but he does have the Disney Channel Stars song, Put the Happy in Holidays, which I just mentioned. Does he count, though? No, he's not going to count, is he? No. No. And that's everyone from Put the Happy in Holidays that we haven't covered yet. Bringing us on to the next thing that was similar to this, the Disney Princess Remix. As I kind of spoke about earlier, we've got Dara Renee singing here with Frankie A. Rodriguez for Princess Disney Remix. No, that's not the right order of those words. That was, of course, them singing Into the Unknown, which brings us to Frankie A. Rodriguez with 38,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and he starred in High School Musical, the series. Which, oh my god, you know what that means? He's going to have so many Disney Channel soundtrack appearances. So yeah, he's on all the High School Musical soundtracks and also has a song in the movie Christmas Again, the Disney Channel movie Christmas Again, which came out in 2021 called Jingle Bells. I made that statement before I realized what the title of the song was. He sung Jingle Bells in Christmas Again. It's on a soundtrack, so it counts for something. And of course, he's also featured on Disney Princess Remix, where he sings Into the Unknown with Dara Renee, as I just showed. And yeah, he doesn't actually have any official music though. All 9 of the songs on his Spotify are with Disney. All 9. He is a soundtrack merchant. But no, I'm not trying to offend you, Frankie. You seem like a great guy. I'm sorry, that was mean. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, do you count? I feel I'm being even meaner here, but no, you don't. Which brings us on to the next performance of Disney Princess Remixed. We have Julia Lester performing Home. This was a solo Disney Princess Remix performance. Anyway, let's get on to Julia Lester's slide. 767,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Why? Because she starred as Ashlyn Caswell in High School Musical, the series. You want to guess it? Yeah, she has 5. Just the 5. She only features on the High School Musical, the series soundtracks. So no soundtrack appearances outside of that, but she is on all the High School Musical, the series soundtracks. And of course, she also featured on Disney Princess Remix, where she sings Home, as I just showed you. But she also does not have any official music. Does she count? No, she doesn't. It's like the suspense when you know what the answer is just so stupid. Which kind of pretty much brings us to the end of these Disney soundtrack things that I've been talking about for the last hour or so. But there is one more, which wasn't for the Disney Channel, but seems to have been made for Disney XD, for like their summer playlist or something. Here it is. This was a song called We Burnin' Up, which was sung by Adam Hicks and Chris Broku for Disney XD. So let's quickly talk about them. Firstly, we have Chris Broku, who made his first appearance on the Disney Channel in Hannah Montana as a character called Dex. Here he is. He, of course, made his main feature on the Disney Channel, though, starring in Lemonade Mouth. As we've kind of covered already, the Lemonade Mouth soundtrack hit number 4 in the charts. He is one of the bad guys in that movie, though. He's not part of the band Lemonade Mouth, so his songs on it aren't the Lemonade Mouth songs. It's like, don't you wish you were us? Don't you wish you were us? It's a banging song, I'm not gonna lie. Can you tell I watched Lemonade Mouth the other day in research for this video? I know the songs from it so well. He also obviously had the song with Adam Hicks, We Burnin' Up, for Disney XD, but hasn't done anything else with Disney and started releasing music independently in 2015. But I believe most of his monthly listeners are from Lemonade Mouth, not his own music, I'm sorry to say. So let's see, does he fit in? I'm going to say a surprising no. He doesn't. I got you there for a second. You thought, oh, maybe? No, I don't think so. He started releasing music ages after. Lemonade Mouth was the only thing he really did with Disney, and he has like a couple other appearances. I don't think so. Maybe I should have given it to just be nice to myself, but I don't care, because with Adam Hicks, I am very confident we're going to get a Disney Channel pop star here. Okay, spoilers for what I'm about to say, but let's talk about Adam Hicks. So he firstly starred as Luther Waffles in Zeke and Luther, so he's the Luther of Zeke and Luther. He also did the theme tune for Zeke and Luther. You know I love my theme tune artists. If you do a theme tune, you basically can. He's almost already in. Then he starred as Wen Gifford in Lemonade Mouth, so he's one of the members of Lemonade Mouth. So he's obviously on the Lemonade Mouth soundtrack, but we'll get into that in a second. Now after that though, he did the Will We Save the World Today theme tune for Mighty Med. He isn't even in Mighty Med, and he did the theme tune for it. 2 theme tunes? That's like Selena Gomez territory. Anyway, he then was featured on 5 Disney Channel soundtracks. So, obviously he had Lemonade Mouth, which broke number 4 in the charts. He's also on 2 Shake It Up soundtracks and features on 2 Zeke and Luther soundtracks. Obviously, the big hit as well from Lemonade Mouth is Determinate, which broke into the charts, and that led to him having 2 top 100 Disney Channel singles. And just for clarity, the reason why he has those top 100 singles and Blake Michael doesn't is because for some reason on the soundtrack, Blake Michael isn't included on those songs. even though I thought like the whole Lemonade Mouth group performed them together. Either way, he's featured on those songs in the soundtrack, so he has 2 top 100 singles. Blake Michael is not featured on them on the soundtrack, so does not have 2 top 100 singles. On top of that, Determinate also appears on the Radio Disney Jam's 15th birthday edition soundtrack, so he has a Radio Disney soundtrack appearance, and then he started releasing music independently pretty much after all of this. So he did all of this with Disney, and then he started releasing music independently. Brings me to the question, oh, sorry, I kind of jumped the gun there. Yeah, of course, Adam Hicks counts. He's the 60th Disney Channel pop star, which brings me to the next section of this video. We're going to talk about DisneyMania. Now, I feel like I've kind of spoken about DisneyMania, at least it's been in a lot of the slides, and essentially, to simplify it as much as I possibly can, DisneyMania was a series of 9 compilation albums that Disney Records made in the 2000s. To put it more complicatedly, it was a way to promote their pop stars that they had on their roster, or just pop stars generally, I guess, where they got them to sing classic Disney songs. And again, returning to the timeline, the first CD was released in 2002, very much within the Disney Channel canon. So basically, the way we're going to do this is we're going to go through every person who was on a DisneyMania soundtrack and also appeared on the Disney Channel at some point or another. If they did both, I'm going to speak about them. Hopefully. I think so. So let's go. Sorry, I dropped, I went back instead of forward. That was an accident. Starting with nsync. Sorry, that was a weird loading thing there, yeah. So nsync consists of the members JC Chasez, Joey Fatone, Chris Kirkpatrick, Lance Bass, and Justin Timberlake. Obviously, they performed in Disney Channel in concert. Their only appearance on the Disney Channel as a group, and it only kind of counts as an appearance on the Disney Channel because I don't know, like... But a lot of these guys also make appearances on the Disney Channel individually. We have Justin Timberlake and JC Chasez quite famously starting on the all-new Mickey Mouse Club. We also have Lance Bass and Joey Fatone doing some voice acting work with Disney, specifically in this one episode of Kim Possible where they both star as boy band members, and Joey Fatone also appears in an episode of Hannah Montana. So most of them have featured on the Disney Channel in some way or another. And obviously, they started releasing with a record label in 1997. I think they were releasing with RCA in 1997. They had their big nsync self-titled album, which hit #2 and is certified diamond. That means it is 10 times platinum. They also have their third album, which is probably their most popular album, No Strings Attached, which is a #1 and diamond album. They have some hits, you know, like It's Gonna Be Me and Music of My Heart. But most importantly for this video, they featured in 2 Walt Disney movie soundtracks. They have Trash in the Camp with Phil Collins for the Tarzan movie, and they also sing Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays for the I'll Be Home for Christmas movie that came out in 1998. On top of this, of course, they are featured on DisneyMania and 2 Radio Disney soundtracks. The DisneyMania soundtrack, of course, being When You Wish Upon a Star on DisneyMania 1. They have, of course, since gone on hiatus in 2002, but they have reunited in 2023. Which brings me to the big question. Now it's getting interesting. Do nsync count or not? And I'm saying yes. I feel like they started their music career themselves, like some of them got started on the Disney Channel. They did do a lot of music with Disney, and Disney definitely influenced them. So I'm saying yes, and they are the 61st Disney Channel pop star. Which brings me to the next one. Another one of the Disney Channel in concert alumni, Jessica Simpson. Let's quickly talk about Jessica Simpson. So Jessica Simpson has 641,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. She started releasing music with a label in 1999, and she is featured on the Lizzie McGuire soundtrack. She sings Irresistible on the Lizzie McGuire soundtrack. So a Disney Channel soundtrack appearance, and also is featured twice on DisneyMania with Part of Your World and A Whole New World featuring on DisneyMania 1 and DisneyMania 3. However, she doesn't appear on the Disney Channel outside of that Disney Channel in concert performance, which I only think is kind of a Disney Channel appearance. So to be honest, I don't think it's going to be too much of a debate that she doesn't count. Who's next? It's none other than... It's Usher! It's Usher! Oh yeah, you know Usher. This is Usher playing Xander Hall in the famous Jet Jackson. Let's talk about Usher really quickly. So obviously 40 million monthly listeners. I didn't even read out NSYNC's monthly listeners, but it's an insane amount. I don't even need to tell you that. So Usher has been releasing music for a very long time, since 1993 to be specific. And he also, as I said and just showed, he appeared in the famous Jet Jackson. He also though makes an appearance as the ringleader in the Disney TV movie Geppetto, as a fun fact. I think that came out in the same year. So he was doing work with Disney back then. And of course, he also sings You'll Be in My Heart on the DisneyMania 1 soundtrack. But other than that, he doesn't do anything else. I don't think it's going to be too big a shock when I say no. He obviously made his music career on his own. He didn't really have much influence with Disney. Who's next? It's none other than Lelaine. Ignore Hilary Duff. We're talking about Lelaine now. She starred as Miranda Sanchez in Lizzie McGuire. She also started releasing music with a label in 2002. Most people like signed Hollywood records around this stage and then just released music with Disney. She didn't. She was against the curve. She also featured on 2 Disney Channel soundtracks, one of these being the song You Wish from You Wish, the movie that she stars in. And she also sings If You Wanna Rock on Pixel Perfect. So 2 Disney Channel soundtrack appearance. And she features on 2 DisneyMania soundtracks. She sings Cruella de Vil, and then there's a remix of Cruella de Vil on a Disney Remix Mania soundtrack. And on a fun note, she started releasing music independently in 2006, where she released a few singles, but she hasn't actually released anything since 2009, and there are only 3 songs left on her Spotify. But the big question is, does she count? And she made some music with Disney Channel, and I'm saying yes, she does, making her the 62nd. I don't think I need to argue that too much, right? She was on the Disney Channel before she started making music, influenced her career. She's made some songs with Disney early on in her career, and, she did make music. She stopped making music now, but it was still what I would call an attempt to make a pop star. Who is next? It's none other than Aaron Carter. This is obviously Aaron Carter in Lizzie McGuire. I believe he's playing himself. So with that, let's talk about Aaron Carter. He has 330,000 monthly listeners on Spotify and started releasing with a label in 1997. He appeared as himself on Lizzie McGuire. He also sings Get Up On Your Feet from Kim Possible. So he's on the Kim Possible soundtrack, his solo Disney soundtrack appearance. It's his sole Disney Channel soundtrack appearance. He obviously sings Little Bitty Pretty One in the Princess Diaries soundtrack in 2001. Obviously, he sings on the first DisneyMania soundtrack with I Just Can't Wait to Be King, and 4 of his songs feature on Radio Disney soundtracks. Also, very sadly, Aaron Carter passed away in 2022 from an accidental drowning under the influence of so does he count as a Disney Channel pop star though? I'm saying no. Let's move on quickly. This is none other than Sarah Paxton. She's the one in the wheelchair here, playing Tracy in Hounded. She has 10,000 monthly listeners on Spotify and makes 5 appearances on the Disney Channel. She appeared in a few things though. She appeared in Lizzie McGuire, she appeared in Wizards of Waverly Place, and obviously the main thing she did actually on the Disney Channel was starring in Return to Halloween Town. She obviously started releasing music around the same time in 2005. This is a few years actually after she started Disney career, and she sings the song Can You Feel the Love Tonight on DisneyMania 4. You know how it goes? Can you feel the love tonight? Can you sing Can You Feel the Love Tonight from The Lion King for me? Can you feel the love tonight? Sorry, yeah, I was literally singing Can You Feel the Love Tonight when you called me. Sorry, I don't know what I was saying, but yeah, she sung Can You Feel the Love Tonight on DisneyMania 4, but she hasn't released anything since 2008. Both of her songs were with Epic, and all her music has now been taken off Spotify, so I don't know how she has 10,000 monthly listeners. Anyway, does she fit? Does she count? I'm saying no. I'm sorry. Yeah, she has a couple of songs. She appeared on the Disney Channel around the same time, but I don't think that makes her a Disney pop star. Let's talk about the next one. We have Drew Seeley. Now, you might know Drew Seeley. He's here playing a character called David, I believe, in Stuck in the Suburbs. I don't even think he's got a name credited in the actual film, but he's credited by the fact he has a label on him. So Drew Seeley makes 2 appearances on the Disney Channel. One of them is as the front desk clerk in the movie Stuck in the Suburbs that we just saw. He also appears as a character called Jeffrey in The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. There's only 2 appearances on the Disney Channel. However, he features on 7 Disney Channel soundtracks, so he was a bit less of an actor and more of a singer. And I think the biggest and most significant of these Disney Channel soundtrack appearances, which you might even know, you might not know the name, but you might know about this, he sung as Troy Bolton in the first High School Musical. It's an uncredited role. Zac Efron does everything else, he acts, but Drew Seeley is the one singing for him. And therefore, he has a #1 album that is like 5 times platinum with the Disney Channel, because he is like the main singer on that soundtrack. Also, on top of that, he has 5 top 100 Disney Channel singles because of that, including Breaking Free, which hit #4 and is gold. That's the most successful of those. And he has started releasing music independently also in 2006, the year that High School Musical came out. He has 3 albums, I believe, none of which charted, but he also features on DisneyMania 3 times, with Find Yourself, You'll Be in My Heart, and Her Voice appearing in DisneyManias 5, 6, and 7. With that said, though, I'm not going to do the ranking. I'm just going to talk about Zac Efron, because I feel like they're a package deal, okay? Zac Efron obviously did star as Troy Bolton, and obviously sung in the High School Musical 2 and 3 soundtracks, so therefore he has 2 top 2 soundtracks, because High School Musical 2 hit #1 and High School Musical 3 hit #2 in the charts. He also has 4 top 100 Disney Channel singles, with the biggest one being You Are the Music in Me, which hit number 31 in the charts, and he has bet on it. Guys, I might have just broken this thing. It works! Oh, thank goodness. Okay. Anyway, sorry. He sings Bet on It on the Radio Disney Jam, so he isn't actually on DisneyMania. But again, I feel like they're a package deal because Zac Efron, on the contrary to Drew Seeley, does not actually have any official music. He's never pursued a musical career, which is insane when you consider he has 9 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Obviously, he does the High School Musical soundtracks there on his Spotify, and he also has The Greatest Showman, which has caused him just to have an insane number. Correct me if I'm wrong. There must be no one else who is not pursuing a musical career who has that many monthly listeners on Spotify. That is an insane number. Anyway, I'm going to say, not does Zac Efron or Drew Seeley count as a Disney Channel pop star. I'm going to say, does Troy Bolton count as a Disney Channel pop star? Because let's be real, the music we're talking about is Troy Bolton's music. And he absolutely does. Troy Bolton is our 63rd Disney Channel pop star. Who's next? We have none other than Alison Stoner here. She is making her first appearance in That's So Raven in this clip. Let's talk about Alison Stoner. She has 634,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. And while the main thing she did in live action was starring as Caitlin Geller in Camp Rock, you might also know that she is the voice for Isabella in Phineas and Ferb. So she's pretty well connected with Disney, and she has been since about 2007. Because she's in Camp Rock, features on both the Camp Rock soundtracks. She only sings one song on Camp Rock 1, which is We Rock, the number 33 charting hit. And then she has a few more songs on Camp Rock 2, which is an obviously hit number 3 in the charts and a very successful soundtrack album, which is actually... And that is just what I said. She's also featured in 2 Walt Disney movie soundtracks. She has a song in Tinkerbell and the Lost Treasure, and she has a song in Space Buddies. On top of this, she also appears in a DisneyMania and a Radio Disney soundtrack. And fortunately, she pursued a career as a musician. She started releasing music independently in 2011. And she did start releasing singles with labels also, like around 2014. She did some stuff independently, some stuff with labels. But she seemed to be back to releasing music independently by 2018. However, with that said, she hasn't actually released anything else since 2019. Which brings me to the big question. Does she count? I'm going to say yes. Of course she does. She's in Camp Rock and Camp Rock 2. She's the 64th Disney Channel pop star. Bringing me on to the next one. Focus on this guy over here. Not her. I know she's the focus of this. Focus on him. Lucas Grabeel, or Ryan from High School Musical. Let's talk about Lucas Grabeel. So obviously, he starred as Ryan Evans in High School Musical, Sharpay's brother, and he also features on 6 Disney Channel soundtracks. So interestingly, all of these soundtracks are related to High School Musical. He has High School Musical 1, 2, and 3, and then he also came back for High School Musical, the musical, the series. He's in the first season and sings the song Role of a Lifetime. He also comes back for the big reunion song, High School Musical Reunion, in High School Musical, the musical, the series final season, and he has the song Baby in Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure. I believe that is him covering Justin Bieber's Baby in the scene where 2 dogs fall in love in the rain. Don't get me started on Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure, okay? He also sings the song You Know I Will from The Fox and the Hound 2, so he did a Walt Disney movie soundtrack song, and he started releasing music independently in 2007. He has an EP called Sunshine from 2011, and he also featured on a DisneyMania and Radio Disney soundtrack, singing Go the Distance on DisneyMania 5. Does Lucas Grabeel count? He absolutely does. He's the 65th Disney Channel pop star. Let's move on. Who is next? It's none other than Tiffany Thornton. This is Tiffany Thornton making her first Disney Channel appearance on That's So Raven. She plays a character called Tyler, I believe, in that show, but is probably more well known for starring as Tawny Hart in both Sunny with a Chance and the spin-off show So Random. She's also featured in 3 Disney Channel soundtracks, one of these, of course, being the Sunny with a Chance soundtrack, which actually hit 163rd in the chart. She has 2 songs on that soundtrack, I believe. She also features on the Tinkerbell and the Lost Treasure soundtrack with the song Magic Mirror. And my basic rule of thumb for these videos is that if they're on a Tinkerbell soundtrack, Disney is pushing for them to become a pop star because that is their way of putting their music and their voice in front of children. But either way, she also sung for the DisneyMania 7 soundtrack with the song If I Never Knew You, but she hasn't released anything since 2012. Now, you might have noticed I didn't actually say she ever was releasing stuff. And I'm kind of confused to whether she did ever release stuff. She kind of did some music. She had a song on like So Random. She had songs on Sunny with a Chance, which were like official songs. She has a song on this album called Grafted, which is called Bring Love to Me. And it's like this indie album that has one song from her and then features various other artists, I guess, which is her music. But like, she didn't really pursue music, to be honest. And as of 2015, she has quit music and acting altogether, I believe. I think she's retired now. I don't know, I don't think she's really done music in her life. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but ultimately, I don't think she really ever tried to pursue a career as a musician. As much as Disney may have wanted to push her, I don't think she ever actually attempted to become a musician. Maybe that's harsh. Can I change it? Is it too late to change it? Who is next? Oh, it's none other than Casey Stroh. You may also know her as Martha Cox, or the nerdy girl from High School Musical, who just loves hip-hop. Why did I do that? Why? I'm leaving the set. That is maybe the cringiest thing I've done all video. Okay, let's talk about Casey Stroh. So she actually obviously appeared as Martha Cox in High School Musical, as we've covered, regrettingly. She also makes a few appearances in The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. She's in the Hannah Montana movie. She's in Andy Mack. She's in the High School Musical, the series. She returns for that. And because of that, she features on 4 Disney Channel soundtracks. She obviously has High School Musical 1, High School Musical 2, and High School Musical 3. And she has the High School Reunion song from High School Musical, the series. The biggest hit from High School Musical that she features on is Stick to the Status Quo, which actually hit number 43 in the charts. So she has a top 100 single in the Billboard Hot 100 from High School Musical. And of course, she also sings My Strongest Suit on DisneyMania 6. Despite this though, she's never actually pursued music, so it's going to be a hard case to say she's a Disney Channel pop star, and you already know the end result. She is not a Disney Channel pop star. Who's next? We have... Oh, okay, I think it's her, not her, no, not you either. This one. Ana Maria Perez de Tegel. I hope I pronounced one of those 5 names right. Anyway, let's talk about Anna. Obviously appeared first in Hannah Montana, but starred as Ella in Camp Rock. She sings in both of the Camp Rock soundtracks, features on We Rock, the big hit from Camp Rock 1, which hit number 33 in the charts. She also features on DisneyMania 7 with Part of Your World. Again, similarly to Casey Stroh, there's a few people from like the Camp Rock, High School Musical era of Disney that seem to feature on those soundtracks, so they're trying to give them somewhat of a boost to like start their musical career. But again, in Ana Maria Perez de Tegel's case, she did not pursue music. She doesn't have official music, which means that she does not count. Which brings me on to Keke Palmer. Keke Palmer is obviously a very successful actor now, but she was starring in the Disney Channel back in 2007. She has 1.1 million monthly listeners, and of course stars as Mary Thomas in Jump In. Now, this is the only Disney Channel appearance she has in her career, at least so far, but she did co-star in a pilot for a TV show called Kiki and Jamal that was never picked up, that was meant to be on the Disney Channel all the way back in 2003. There's record of this pilot on YouTube, so you can see she was meant to be in a Disney show. She could have been like Raven Simone for them or something if this show had been picked up and been successful. Obviously it wasn't, so she's had a very different career because of that, but she's still attached to Disney. She still was in a movie in 2007. She sung a song in that movie called It's My Turn Now. She's featured on 2 DisneyMania soundtracks where she sings Reflection and True to Your Heart on DisneyMania 5 and 6. And she actually started releasing music with a label in the same year in 2007, so she did one of her first ever songs with Disney for the Jump In soundtrack. I think she released her first album called So Uncool with Atlantic. She didn't do too much music in between 2007 and 2023, but she did release an independent album in 2023 called Big Boss. But the big question is, does she count? I mean, she did a song with them early in her career, she starred in a movie, but I'm going to say no. I am going to say no. It's a close one again. I mean, she starred in a movie very early on in her career. She did a song for that movie, but also she did technically release her first album before that movie came out, and pretty much everything she's done in her career post that is outside of Disney. She's also pursued acting a lot, and I don't think Disney really had much influence on her musical career, other than the fact she appeared in a couple DisneyMania soundtracks. Which brings me on to the next one. We have none other than Debby Ryan. This is actually Debby Ryan making her first appearance as Bailey Pickett in Sweet Life on Deck. Debby Ryan. She has 106,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and obviously she starred as Bailey Pickett in The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Nope, Sweet Life on Deck. She featured in the sequel show. She doesn't appear in the first one. She's on the boat one. She starred also as Jessie in Jessie, where she did the theme tune. Hey, Jessie! It's raps. She's done a theme tune. It doesn't matter what else happens. She also featured on 4 Disney Channel soundtracks. Oh, if you don't count Debby Ryan, I don't know who can. She obviously sings on her solo movie, 16 Wishes, that she stars in. She sings on the Jessie soundtrack. She also sings on the Austin Nally soundtrack because she had a collaboration with Austin Nally. She sings a song with Ross Lynch in that episode. I'm pretty sure it hit 89 at its peak in the charts. And of course, she also sings in her other solo starring movie, Radio Rebel. She did a lot with the Disney Channel from like 2008 to 2015. Also sings Hakuna Matata on the DisneyMania 7 soundtrack. And she started releasing music independently in 2011. So yeah, she starred in Jessie that year, and then she started doing music as well, but that was actually the only year she ever made any music in. and she released one song called We Ended Right with Chad Hively and Chase Ryan. Does she count though? I'm gonna say, yes, she absolutely does. She does a theme tune, she does a bunch of soundtracks, and she released one song. It counts, okay? She made one song, and that's all you need to do. It's still like, Disney still were pushing for her to be a huge, like, megastar. So yeah, no, 100%, no doubts about that. She's the 66th Disney Channel pop star, leading me on to Colby Kaylat. This is Colby Kaylat performing her song Brighter Than the Sun on So Random. Let's talk about Colby Kaylat. So Colby Kaylat was definitely doing music before she ever appeared on the Disney Channel. She started releasing music with a label in 2007. She features on DisneyMania and 2 Radio Disney soundtracks. So she sings the song Kiss the Girl, obviously from The Little Mermaid, on DisneyMania 6, and features on 2 Radio Disney soundtracks with her songs as well. She performed on So Random, as I just showed you, and yeah, she's now releasing music independently. Is she a Disney Channel pop star? Absolutely, definitely not, because none of the music she did was with Disney, other than that one performance and a few DisneyMania soundtracks. But she was on So Random, so I had to include her for the rules of what I just stated earlier, that I was going to go through everyone who was on a DisneyMania soundtrack and also appears on the Disney Channel. She does, in fact, appear on a DisneyMania soundtrack and sings on the Disney Channel, but she is definitely not a Disney Channel pop star. Who's next? Miley Cyrus, no. Emily Osment. Emily Osment, she has 327,000 monthly listeners and starred as Lily Truscott, and I should also say Lola in Hannah Montana. She's obviously the co-star in Hannah Montana's best friend. She also sings on the Dadnapped soundtrack. She has the song Hero in Me, her only Disney Channel soundtrack appearance, actually. She doesn't sing on any of the Hannah Montana soundtracks, interestingly, and started releasing with a label in the same year. So she did a soundtrack. I actually think this came first. I think she released the music for Disney. I think this was her first ever song, and then she started releasing music with a label. Her DisneyMania appearances were If I Didn't Have You and Once Upon a Dream on the DisneyMania 6 and Princess DisneyMania soundtracks, and I believe now she is releasing music independently under the name Bluebird. So she's still doing music to this day. This monthly listener count is for her Emily Osment account, I believe, with all this stuff on, not the Bluebird account. But check her out if you want to listen to Bluebird. Does she count? I'm gonna say yes, she absolutely does. She did her first ever song with Disney, 2 DisneyMania soundtrack appearances. She starred in a Disney show as a kid, but like the first thing she was known for. Obviously, she's a Disney Channel pop star. 67. Who's next? We have Megan Martin playing Stacy in The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Now, Megan Martin obviously first appeared in The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, but you probably know her better for starring as Tess Tyler in Camp Rock. She's in both the Camp Rock movies and therefore features in 4 Disney Channel soundtracks. She obviously has the Camp Rock soundtrack, she has Camp Rock 2 soundtrack. She also sings on the Wizards of Waverly Place soundtrack, singing Olivia Newton-John's Magic, covering that for the soundtrack, and she sings a song on the I'm going to be honest, guys, I might have made a mistake here. She's got Camp Rock 2, and then she sings Olivia Newton-John's Magic on Wizards of Waverly Place. She also sings When You Wish Upon a Star on the DisneyMania 6 soundtrack, and has not pursued music outside of that. So therefore, does she count? I don't think it's going to... Oh, wait, no, I just skipped that. You get a no. Absolutely not. Which actually, anticlimactically, brings us to the end of the DisneyMania stars, but it doesn't bring us to the end of these soundtrack artists, which brings us to Radio Disney. You guys, if you think this video is nearly over, it's not. There is so many more sections to get through, but we're into the next section. Let's talk about Radio Disney. Basically, Radio Disney is a radio station that Disney had that played pop music. And again, to return to the timeline, this was launched in 1996, which I just think is further evidence that the Disney Channel canon of them creating pop stars started around here. Now, an artist being on Radio Disney doesn't count as Disney trying to attempt to create a pop star. I can't go through every song that ever played on Radio Disney ever. That would be impossible. But they also had this thing called the Radio Disney Jams series, which very similarly to DisneyMania were these compilation albums where they put on popular songs by artists. This time it wasn't covers of like famous Disney songs. This time it was just famous songs by famous artists. It's essentially what a Spotify playlist is today, but, you know, this was before Spotify playlists existed. They sold them as CDs back then. So basically, what I'm going to do now is do exactly the same thing I just did with DisneyMania, but for Radio Disney. So if they were on a Radio Disney Jam soundtrack and also appeared on the Disney Channel at some point, let's see if they count. Starting with Britney Spears. Yes, we have Britney Spears here as herself on the famous Jet Jackson. Let's talk about Britney Spears. So, Britney Spears has 39.2 million monthly listeners on Spotify. And of course, Britney Spears did start on the all-new Mickey Mouse Club, as I've already mentioned. That isn't part of this Disney Channel era that I'm talking about. So, the first thing she really did she started releasing music in 1998. She did, of course, make a cameo on the famous Jet Jackson in 1999. But other than that, she hasn't really done much with Disney music-wise. All of her albums, or at least her early work, were done with Jive. She has big hits that you all know, like Hit Me Baby One More Time and Womanizer and Toxic. They're huge songs, but Disney really had no involvement with her music career. Yeah, they gave her a stepping stone to launch a music career, but they really had no influence on her music career, which is why we are going to get to this, and I'm unfortunately going to have to say it's a no. I don't think Britney Spears counts as a Disney Channel pop star. She was on the Disney Channel before she did pop music, but Disney really did not make her a pop star in any way. Yeah, they included a few of her songs on their Radio Disney soundtracks after she'd become successful, but it doesn't make her a Disney Channel pop star. I'm sorry. Who is next? We have none other than the Backstreet Boys. Yes, we have the Backstreet Boys here performing in Disney Channel in concert. So I want to say, before I get into this slide, there's a lot from Disney Channel in concert, and I don't think being in Disney Channel in concert really counts as being on the Disney Channel. They recorded a show you performed at Disney and put it on the Disney Channel. So I'm just going to fly through these really quickly. So yeah, we have the Backstreet Boys. You know who's in the Backstreet Boys. They obviously started releasing music in 1995, long before they had any association with Disney. They are featured on, I think, 5 Radio Disney soundtracks. But that's not a surprise because the Radio Disney soundtracks were coming out in the late 90s, early 2000s. This is exactly when the Backstreet Boys were at the peak of their powers. So like, they're obviously going to include the popular songs by the Backstreet Boys on their soundtracks. Also, one of their soundtracks appears on the Princess Diaries. So that is the wrong date. That movie came out in 2001. The sequel came out in 2004. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, they also feature on the Princess Diaries soundtrack. That is their only Walt Disney movie soundtrack appearance. Other than that, they haven't done anything. And because of that, they are a no. Bringing us to the next Disney Channel in concert performers, Steps. Do Steps count? I wonder. So Steps have 846,000 monthly listeners, consist of Lee, Claire, Lisa, Faye, and Ian. They obviously started releasing music with a label in 1997, again, long before they had any attachment to Disney. They have a song also on the Princess Diaries soundtrack. This time I got the year right, funnily enough. And they also have their song One for Sorrow appearing on Radio Disney Jams Volume 2. So the big question, do they count? Oh, I wonder, do Steps count people who have no involvement to Disney? Absolutely not, no. Who's next? We have M2M performing in Disney Channel in concert. Okay, let's get on to the M2M slide. M2M, 1.4 million monthly listeners, consisting of Marion and Marriott. Your parents were really creative with names. Did they just call you both Mary for short? Anyway, I think these guys are actually a Norwegian group, and they started releasing music in Norway back in 1996, but definitely moved a lot of their stuff to America later on. They got pretty big around 2000 and have 2 songs featured on Radio Disney soundtracks. Don't Say You Love Me on Radio Disney Jams Volume 3 and Everything on Radio Disney Jams Volume 5. They have since broken up in 2002. No, in 2002. 2002. That doesn't sound right. Yeah, that is all there is to say about them. Let's see what we have. Are they? No, they're a no. Let's move on. We now have Jason Reyes here. This is Jason Reyes performing in Disney Channel in concert in the year 2000. Here we go, nice up-close shot of him. Firstly, actually, I just want to say, he actually played Simba in the original Lion King Broadway cast. So he has an attachment to Disney all the way back from 1997. And he actually didn't start releasing music properly then until 1999. So he's almost like a Disney kid without being a Disney Channel kid. And he also sung a song, It Was You, on the Stepsister from Planet Weird, which is a Disney Channel soundtrack appearance. He also has a song on Radio Disney Jams Volume 2 and voices the character Denai in Brother Bear, but that was sadly his first and last on-screen acting role because he committed in 2004 and is no longer with us, very sadly. And to be honest, I kind of want to just give him an honorary yes. I know maybe he didn't do too much music and we don't really know what his career could have been because it ended too soon, but he started on a Walt Disney movie musical in The Lion King. He only had 2 official songs ever, and he had 2 more songs outside of those official songs on Radio Disney soundtrack and a Disney Channel original movie. And he did, like, his main shows on Disney Channel in concert. His music career revolved around Disney. His last ever acting role, his last performance was in Brother Bear. Yeah, I'm calling him my 68th Disney Channel pop star. Bring me to the next Disney Channel in concert performer, 98 Degrees. Let's talk about them quickly. They have 2 members. I thought they had more than 2 members, to be honest with you. For some reason, that has just turned into 2 bullet points. I don't know why, it's not meant to. And they started releasing music with a label in 1997. And very interestingly, one of their first ever songs, True to Your Heart, is on the Mulan soundtrack. They actually sing True to Your Heart with Stevie Wonder for the Radio Disney Jams Volume 2. They then went on a hiatus in 2003, and I should mention actually, Nick Lackey has done a song on his own in DisneyMania 3, and also has a song on Star versus the Forces of Evil. Otherwise though, not too much of a connection to Disney Channel other than this song that is in Mulan and therefore in a Radio Disney Volume 2 soundtrack. They actually did reunite in 2012 and did a cover of The Circle of Life in 2017. And I can't actually remember why. Maybe for like the Lion King's 25th birthday, but it wouldn't have been the 25th birthday in 2017. I'm pretty sure the Lion King turned 23 in 2017. We're going to say they did a cover of The Circle of Life for the Lion King's 23rd birthday. And with that, we get on to the big question, do they count? No, they don't. Anyway, who is next? I bet we have another Disney Channel in concert performance. This is Hoku. I believe this is the final performance of Disney Channel in concert. She has 394,000 monthly listeners. She also started releasing music with a label in the year 2000, and alongside being on Disney Channel in concert, also made an appearance as herself in the show In a Heartbeat. She has a few hit albums, and one of her big songs, Perfect Day, is on the Lizzie McGuire Total Party soundtrack. I believe that soundtrack came out in like 2005. I believe Perfect Day also features on a Radio Disney soundtrack alongside How Do I Feel. So she has 2 songs on Radio Disney soundtracks. I believe she has now completely ventured into making just full-on Christian music. So that is what she is doing with her life now. I believe she's also doing it independently. So, you know what? Fair enough. If you're going to make the art, you might as well make money from it yourself. Don't let the corporates get into it. Does she count, though? Absolutely not. She's closer than the other ones, in fairness, because she was at least on the Disney Channel, but like she appears as herself on a show, so she's already an established musician to be appearing as herself on a show, and the songs appear on soundtracks, but ultimately, like, she wrote those songs and then Disney included them on soundtracks. She wasn't writing the songs for Disney, so yeah, she doesn't count. Who's next? Oh, we have some familiar faces up here. We'll have one in particular who's going to walk in just about now. That is none other than Beyonce. So let's talk about Destiny's Child. So Destiny's Child have 14.3 million monthly listeners. I thought it said 1.4 when I looked at it from that angle there, and I'm like, that can't be right. So the band consisted of a lot of people, but to be honest, the main trio that are in this show and that everyone knows is Beyonce, Kelly, and Michelle. For every band, there's always someone leaves and stuff, but you know, it was mostly Beyonce, Kelly, and Michelle. They were the main 3. And they actually started releasing music with a label in 1997. Obviously, as I just showed, appeared as themselves in the famous Jet Jackson. Significantly for this video, though, they sung the Proud Family theme tune. Also, Solange Knowles also sings this theme tune with them and also appears in an episode of the Proud Family as a character called Chanel. As a group, they also have Jumpin' Jumpin' from Radio Disney Jams Volume 3. And I think this is a real weird summary of everything that Beyonce and Destiny's Child have achieved. They are multiple Grammy winners. I think Beyonce has the most Grammys of any person ever, and this is my bullet points to describe what she's done. Destiny's Child, what did they do? Yeah, they did a song for the Proud Family, and they featured on Radio Disney. Anyway, they have since broken up and pursued solo careers. You know, it's pretty safe to say I think they're doing pretty well, and do they count as Disney Channel pop stars, though? No. You can win as many Grammy Awards as you want, Beyonce. You're not a Disney Channel pop star. Who is next? Oh, we have another person in bed. And that is Lindsay Lohan. So interesting, this is actually Lindsay Lohan's first appearance on the Disney Channel in the movie Get a Clue. Lindsay Lohan is definitely more well known for doing movies with Walt Disney Studios than Disney Channel. But as I said, she does have one appearance in a Disney Channel movie, being Lexi Gold in Get a Clue. You probably know her a bit better from movies like Parent Trap and Freaky Friday. And because of that, she features on 3 Walt Disney movie soundtracks. Not Disney Channel soundtracks, Walt Disney movie soundtracks. She has Ultima on the Freaky Friday soundtrack. She has a bunch of songs on Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, which actually hit number 51 in the charts. So she has a charting Disney movie soundtrack that she features a bunch of times on, and she sings first on Herbie Fully Loaded. She also does actually make one appearance on a Disney Channel soundtrack with Ultimate on the That's So Raven soundtrack. She also appears on the Radio Disney Jams Volume 7 soundtrack, obviously, because she wouldn't be in this slide if she didn't feature in Radio Disney Jams, and actually started releasing in the label after this. So she was a Disney kid, and then she went into music. And I think that's a very interesting case. And she did a lot of music, like she has an album called Speak, which did very well. It hit number 4 at its peak and is certified platinum. But she didn't do too much between 2008 and about 2020. She did come back with a song in 2020, but hasn't done anything since. So while she hasn't been doing music recently, does she count? There's going to be a little bit of suspense. I'm saying yes, she does. She's officially... yeah, she wasn't necessarily a Disney Channel kid, but she was a Disney kid. That's something. That counts for something. Bring me to Donny Osmond. So this is actually Donny Osmond, I think, playing himself in Hannah Montana. Interestingly, he hosted the Disney Channel launch program in 1983, which isn't a great sign when I'm trying to argue he's a Disney Channel pop star. If he was there hosting, he was a celebrity when they were doing the Disney Channel launch program. And yes, he started releasing music with a label in 1971. Just a fair few years before the Disney Channel started. He does also appear as himself on Hannah Montana, as we just saw. And his big claim to fame with Disney is that he sings I'll Make a Man Out of You on the Mulan soundtrack, which is actually a double platinum record. He doesn't actually play the character of Captain Li Shang, but he sings I'll Make a Man Out of You. He does the singing voice for him. Very little of a connection. I don't think it's going to be too big a shock when I say he does not count. Who is next, you may wonder? It is none other than David Archuleta. This is David Archuleta, I think, playing himself in Hannah Montana. So, let's talk about David Archuleta. 1.4 million monthly listeners. He actually started on American Idol back in 2008 and was the runner-up. So, that was how he launched his career. And since then, he's been releasing music with a label. Of course, he appeared in Hannah Montana as himself. And of course, he actually sings a song with Hannah Montana in that episode. And it features on the Hannah Montana free soundtrack. And the song hit number 74 in the charts. Basically, if you had a song with Hannah Montana in 2009, you were breaking into the charts. And on top of that, he also has his song Crush on Radio Disney Jam's Volume 11. So yeah, he's featured on Disney quite a bit there. Does he count though? That is the question. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to say no. I don't think he does. He's an American Idol success story. If we wanted to do a video going for American Idol stars, it'd be a lot easier. There'd be a Wikipedia page that provides all the information. Making one on Disney stars, a lot more difficult. Oh, and next, we have a pretty familiar face, I think you might be able to say. That is Taylor Swift. You might know this, but Taylor Swift started releasing music with a label in 2006. I think she's done pretty well for herself. Just the 91 million monthly listeners on Spotify right now. She appeared as herself in Hannah Montana the movie. That's the clip I just showed. And I believe she sings the song Crazier in that clip, which is also included on the Hannah Montana the movie soundtrack. And that's probably what this is going to say. Yes, it is! Also, a little fun fact, You'll Always Find Your Way Back Home, the Hannah Montana song on the Hannah Montana the movie soundtrack, was actually written by Taylor Swift. She's obviously been very successful, and some of her earlier work, because obviously Radio Disney Jams was about 15 years ago, like Teardrops on the Guitar, appears on Disney Radio Jams Volume 11. She has been a massive success from and since that moment. Does she count as a Disney Channel pop star though? No, she doesn't. Yeah, you can sell out as many shows as you want and be a multi-billionaire, but you're never going to be a Disney Channel pop star, Taylor Swift. And you got to live with that. Which brings me to Jordan Sparks. Is Jordan Sparks, I believe, playing herself in Sweet Life on Deck. Let's get on to her slide. So she started releasing music with a label in 2007. And of course appeared as herself in Sweet Life on Deck. She also sings Road to Paradise from the Tinkerbell Lost Treasure soundtrack. And just saying, anyone on a Tinkerbell soundtrack feels like they're trying to push them to be a Disney Channel pop star. Anyway, she also sings Battlefield on the Avalon High soundtrack, so she has a Walt Disney movie soundtrack appearance and a Disney Channel soundtrack appearance. I also believe Battlefield hit number 7 in the charts, which makes it her highest charting peak, so that's her big hit, and it also appears on the Radio Disney Jams Volume 12 soundtrack. So with that all covered, she has a Radio Disney soundtrack appearance, she has a Disney Channel soundtrack appearance, she has a Walt Disney movie soundtrack appearance, she appears in a Disney Channel show, but it was all 2 years after she'd launched her career. And I think it's probably pretty safe to say that Disney didn't have too much influence in actually getting her started, which is the key thing. Which brings me to the next section of just people who happen to perform on the Disney Channel at some point in their career and also have a song on Radio Disney soundtrack. Let's go through everyone who performed on So Random, basically. Starting with Cody Simpson. He started releasing music with a label in 2010, and he made 2 appearances on the Disney Channel. One where he sang on So Random, the other one where he appeared in Prank Stars, again, as himself. He has not done anything else with the Disney Channel other than sing all day on Radio Disney Jam's 15th birthday edition soundtrack. Does he count? No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. We have Grayson Chance. This is him performing Wait Outside the Lines on So Random. Let's get onto his slide. He also started releasing music with a label in 2010. He appeared on So Random in 2011. And he also sings on the Radio Disney Jam's 15th Birthday Edition soundtrack. Does he count, though, is the question. No, he doesn't. Who's next? Oh, wow, it's none other than Mindless Behavior performing My Girl on So Random. Let's go through Mindless Behavior. So the band members bit is going to be confusing. I think they're called Prodigy, Princeton, Ray Ray, and Rock Royal. But I'm going to be honest, on Wikipedia, there is an entire section of their Wikipedia called Member Adjustments. There have been so many members and people leaving this group, it's more confusing than it's worth to take your time through. Anyway, they started releasing music with a label, also in 2010, and appeared on So Random in 2011. And you'll never guess what? They feature on the Radio Disney Jam's 15th Birthday Edition soundtrack. And in their case also, they actually broke up in 2017. I believe Prodigy, Craig Crippen, actually left the group to go solo. Then he came back. Rock Royal or this Cristiano August man went to prison. There was a lot of complications. The band members section of their Wikipedia is the most intense part of their Wikipedia. I can't be bothered to go through it all. Do they count though? I think you can guess, they don't. Which brings us to the next performance, Hot Shell Ray. We have Hot Shell Ray performing on So Random. Let's talk about Hot Shell Ray. They have 2.2 million monthly listeners on Spotify and consist of Nash, Jamie, Ian, and Ryan. They also started releasing music with a label around 2010. This time, they actually started in 2009. Pretty much everyone that appeared on So Random was a relatively new artist. And so therefore, like, going on So Random was pretty early on in their career. But again, I don't think, I feel like they had to be at a certain level to be going on So Random in the first place to make it so that Disney wasn't influencing their career enough that, this was a make or break moment. Also, it was So Random. Do you know what So Random is? It was Disney Channel's attempt to make an SNL style show. The show didn't even get renewed for a season 2. It wasn't a success. I don't think this was a make or break moment for anyone. And of course, as you might have guessed, they sing their song Tonight Tonight, the one that they performed on So Random on the Radio Disney Jam's 15th Birthday Edition soundtrack before actually breaking up, well, going on hiatus in 2014. And actually, to be fair to them, have reunited as of 2019. I believe Ian left the group without ever announcing it, and now the other 3 of them are back together. Which brings me to the question, do they count? Oh, I wonder. No, they don't. Who's next? Oh, I recognize this person. He's pretty famous, isn't it? This is Justin Bieber. Oh, well, let's talk about Justin Bieber. So Justin Bieber, the 78.1 million monthly listeners on Spotify, which it's actually really impressive because I don't remember him releasing any music in ages. He started releasing music with a label in 2000. That's a really big text. There really mustn't be much to say about him if the text is that big. Sorry. Performed on So Random. Yeah, of course. They're all the same. And, sorry. I take it back. They're not all the same. Justin Bieber is featured on 2 Radio Disney soundtracks. Does he count as a Disney Channel pop star, though? Absolutely not. No, he's a YouTube pop star, if anything. He started on YouTube. He didn't start on Disney Channel. He's one of me. He's not one of them. Bringing us to what I think is the final one of the So Random performers, the Ready Set. This is the Ready Set performing Young Forever on So Random. He has 492,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Guess what? Started releasing music with a label in 2010. Oh, and he performed on So Random. Oh my god, the song that he sung on So Random just so happens to be featured on the Radio Disney Jam's 15th Birthday Edition soundtrack. Also, for the record, not everyone that was on So Random features on the Radio Disney soundtrack. By the way, this is a collection of them. There are over 20 people who appear on So Random, and I've already kind of spoken about a few of them already in this video, but these are about 6 of them that happen to be on this soundtrack. I feel like there was a level you had to hit to be on the soundtrack, and these guys reached that tier, other people didn't. He seems to have dabbled between releasing music independently and releasing music with a label over the last 10 years, but I think as of now, he is pretty definitively releasing music independently. Which brings me to, does he count? No, he doesn't. It's been a while since we've had someone count, isn't it? And the thing is, though, even though it seems okay, the worst is behind us. We've done the DisneyMania soundtracks. We've done the Radio Disney soundtracks. This is where all the, they don't count people appeared. Well, here's the thing. There's more to Radio Disney than just the soundtracks. This was Disney's, music platform for the better part of a few decades. And another thing they did that's definitely a way they used to create pop stars was their project called Radio Disney's Next Big thing. They called it NBT for short, but I don't think anyone ever called it Radio Disney's NBT. So Radio Disney's Next Big Thing was a talent show that Radio Disney put on to try and find a way to promote new and upcoming artists. So they would have people submit music to them, and then the best songs they would pick, and they would go into a final, and it would all be like this big thing. Essentially, like, it was a singing talent show. That's essentially, it was just Disney's own singing talent show. I feel like I was planning on doing a better explanation than that, but Disney's singing talent show seemingly, I think, will suffice. And again, returning to the timeline, this started in 2008, so very much in the Disney Channel camp. Now, this doesn't actually necessarily have the biggest connection to the Disney Channel itself, because obviously it's Radio Disney's project, but I want to go through everyone who was referred to or won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing at one point or another in their career, because it's a clear-cut way of Disney saying, we want this artist to be big, this is an artist we are promoting, and yeah, let me quickly take you through them and see if there's anyone, even if they weren't on the Disney Channel, whether they fit in. So let's start with the first winner of Radio Disney's Next Big Thing, Johnny and Brookie. You may have noticed there wasn't a clip there, and that is because they weren't on the Disney Channel. Right from the start, these guys were never on the Disney Channel. Anyway, let's talk about them. They consist of, guess what? Johnny and Brookie. That is a huge shock. And they started releasing music independently in 2000. Now, you may notice by them, like, this may be an old photo, but they aren't that old. They're both sisters, obviously, and they've been releasing music since the ages of 5 and 7. Whether the music they released when they were 5 and 7 is any good, I can't vouch for that, because it's not able to find it anymore. It's not on Spotify. And after 8 years of grafting as children to become musicians, they did actually get signed to a label. I think it was I Shine Records, which is a record label that is a very, like, Christian record label. I'm pretty sure I Shine, like, had its own, like, digital show online somewhere, and I don't really know much about it, to be honest. So anyway, they were part of the I Shine record label, and they won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2009. The first iteration of Radio Disney's Next Big Thing, they won, and they haven't released any music, really, since winning it. Now, it's unclear to me if they've broken up. I don't think it's been announced that they've broken up. They're also sisters, so, like, they surely most likely get along or, like, have some sort of relationship together, which is more complex than I can explain because I don't know them. But their final record was called Until Next Time, which sounds like it was the final record. Like, it was intended to be their final record. They aren't really a notable success story either. They have 981 monthly listeners. And funnily enough, All-Star Weekend were in the same, like, they were in this Radio Disney Next Big Thing competition, season 1, and All-Star Weekend, at the time in the competition, were called All-Star, were the biggest success story. They actually signed to Hollywood Records and, like, produced music with Disney. Are considered one of Disney pop stars in my eyes. The winners never do as well on the singing talent shows. That's just the way it is. Which begs the question, do they count? I'm gonna say, no, they don't. They were never on the Disney Channel. Even though they won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing, they aren't really a Disney Channel pop star, are they? Anyway, who's next? We have Jasmine Saginario. Let's talk about Jasmine. So obviously she has 6.3 thousand monthly listeners on Spotify, and she started releasing music with a label in 2009. Really interestingly also, by the way, it was also the I Shine Records, like, Christian record label that the last two, Brookie and Johnny, were releasing with. I don't know what the connection to this record label and winning Radio Disney's Next Big Thing is, but maybe, I don't know, I'm not calling conspiracy, but it seems like there was something going on there. Anyway, she won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2010, the second season of Radio Disney's Next Big Thing, and also had a song on the Starstruck movie. On top of that, she also has Boy Crazy, her song appearing on Radio Disney Jams Volume 12. I feel like maybe they thought that Johnny and Brookie were going to do so well just after winning Radio Disney's Next Big Thing, and when they didn't, they were like, oh, maybe we need to do, like, a little bit more for these artists after they win it and, like, give them a little bit of a push. So they gave her a few little helping hands, and she actually started releasing music independently in 2010, but she hasn't released anything as a solo artist since 2012. She did form a group with her sister called 2XO in about 2017, but even that group hasn't released anything since 2019 and hasn't been posting on social media for a few years. So she's been in the music industry to an extent for the last few years, but not really that notably. But does she count? I think, genuinely, she does. Yeah, I think she won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing, and she was put on a Disney Channel soundtrack. I know she wasn't on the Disney Channel, but they literally called her the Next Big Thing and put her on a Disney Channel soundtrack to try and cause that to happen. I'm calling her Disney Channel's 70th pop star. Who's next? Kicking Daisies. They got 682 monthly listeners, and they consist of Ben, Duran, Caitlin, and Kylie. These two must be sisters, Caitlin and Kylie. Don't know who Ben and Duran are, but yeah, they started releasing music independently in 2010, so they pretty much just started making music right before they won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing. Now, interestingly, Kicking Daisies actually also went on the Disney Channel. Again, they did a bit for Jasmine, but like realistically, putting her on a soundtrack, you know, like you're not putting her in front of people's faces. So they're like, yeah, we're gonna put Kicking Daisies in your faces. And they also had a song on Radio Disney Jam's 15th birthday edition, which is pretty typical of anyone who was on So Random. Obviously, I included them in this section because it makes more sense to include them in this section than the earlier section, but they could have been included in the earlier section, obviously. However, despite everything, all this pushing didn't work at all. They broke up literally a year after being on Radio Disney's Next Big Thing. I believe Kylie and Caitlin left off to do their own thing and formed their own group called Like Violet. And yeah, I don't really know what Duran and Ben are doing now, but yeah, do they count is the question. I'm gonna say yes. Yeah, I think they do. They were on the Disney Channel. They were called Radio Disney's Next Big Thing. It didn't work out for the band. They didn't stay together, but I'm calling them the 71st Disney Channel pop star. Who is next? We have Hayley. She goes by one name, Hayley, kind of similar to my name, Seamus, but Hayley. If you didn't know how to pronounce my name, it's pronounced Seamus. And this is your moment to just have a look at my name on the channel there and subscribe. 3.4 thousand monthly listeners Hayley has, and she won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2011. I think this was like the first thing she ever did as a musician. She'd never made any music before, and then she just went and won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing. She started actually releasing music independently after winning Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2012. She's got 2 EPs, one from 2017 and one from 2022, but like she doesn't release music as frequently as most artists do in the like pop industry, but you know, fair play. I don't release YouTube videos as much as most people do in the YouTube industry. So does she count though is the question. I'm going to say no. No, she's not on the Disney Channel. They didn't really push this one. They were just like, she can go do her own thing. Maybe she didn't want to get pushed. I don't know. I can't speak to what happened, but it seems like she won the thing and was like, great. Now I'm going to go release music independently for the rest of my life. Next up, we have Chloe and Halle with 1.2 monthly listens on Spotify. This might be the Radio Disney Next Big Thing big success story, because I'm going to bet you recognize these two, or at least one of them. Chloe and Halle Bailey. They won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2012. I'm pretty sure this was the first thing they did. This was where they started. And obviously, they went on to make 2 appearances on the Disney Channel after this. They appear in Let It Shine as choir members, and they also appeared as themselves and performed the song Unstoppable on Austin Alley. It's around this time that they started releasing music independently. They made their first few songs independently, but their first probably notable thing that they did was actually having that song Unstoppable from Austin Alley appear on the Austin Alley soundtrack. And it was actually after this that they got signed to Beyonce's record label. Beyonce took notice of these two and signed them to her record label. They also have another feature song in the Walt Disney movie A Wrinkle in Time from 2018 with Warrior. Now, as far as I'm aware, these two are still releasing music to this day, but there's also a very notable thing that I need to say about Halle, that she obviously starred as Ariel in the live-action remake of The Little Mermaid. So, like, Disney gave her the role to be the little, like, do you realize how big a deal that is? That soundtrack hit number 21. She's starring in that movie. Like, yeah, she's a Disney... Okay, there's no question about this one, right? Halle Bailey and Chloe Bailey are Disney Channel pop stars, 100%. Who knew that they started their career as Radio Disney's Next Big Thing? I didn't know that. If you did, then great, good for you. You think you're better than me? Anyway, they're the 72nd Disney Channel pop star. It's kind of a weird one because they went on to have a lot more success after Disney. Like, I feel like they achieved their success after they left Disney, but then obviously Halle's still on very good terms with Disney now. And as far as I'm aware, they were the final winners of Radio Disney's Next Big Thing. But from here, they continued doing Radio Disney's Next Big Thing, but it's not the same thing at all. Basically, they changed the project so that the Radio Disney's Next Big Thing stopped going to new up-and-coming artists that no one knew about to going to people that were established musicians with record labels that were just like in the infancy of becoming megastars. I mean, I think the Wikipedia article on Radio Disney's Next Big Thing explains this better than I can. It says that this has no resemblance to the original MBT other than the same name and logo. So they completely changed the format of Radio Disney's Next Big Thing and just started promoting big artists on it. I'm going to take you through the winners of the new version of Radio Disney Next Big Thing. We have Fifth Harmony, just a massive artist. Yeah, obviously they consist of 5 members, or they did consist of 5 members. They first appeared on the US X Factor in 2013 and finished 3rd, and have gone on to be massive successes from there. Started releasing with a record label pretty much immediately after that, have multiple successful albums. I think their biggest one was 727, which is now a platinum certified album in the US. They won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2014. I think they presented a bunch of Radio Disney music awards, and have a song from Radio Disney Music Awards soundtrack called Boss. Then Camilla actually left the group in 2016 to go pursue a solo career, and she's had a massively successful music career herself. I think she has tripled the amount of monthly listeners as Fifth Harmony do now. And the other interesting thing is Camila Cabello was also awarded Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2017. So she technically won this twice. I'm not actually going to include Camila Cabello because, I don't think it's really relevant. I'm including her as part of this group. I'm not going to include her as a solo artist as well. The band did eventually go on hiatus in 2018, and we are still waiting for a reunion. Do they count? I'm just going to say this is a very firm no. They were never on the Disney Channel. They were very well established before they won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing. This new format of the award is very stupid. Let's continue. Who's next? We've got Becky G. She started releasing music with a label in 2012. She won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2014. Appears as herself in Austin Alley. Maybe you think there's a case to be made here, but it was in 2015. So 3 years after she started her music career. Her song Shower also appears on the Radio Disney Music Awards soundtrack. Interestingly, she's actually got a song from Aladdin in 2019, the live action Aladdin. She's singing on that soundtrack, and that's a pretty big deal. But even with that said, I don't think she counts because she had a very well established music career well before she was on Disney. Yeah, they've given her a helping hand later on, but she was doing fine before Disney. Let's move on. Who's next? We have the Vamps. This is a fun one because this is the first time in this whole video that I actually know someone who I've spoken about in this video. You see Connor here? I know Connor. So they consist of Brad, Tristan, James, and Connor. They started releasing music with a label in 2013. They were winners of Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2014. On top of that, they also have a song on the Disney movie Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. And they also appear as themselves in Jessie. So, they have a Walt Disney movie soundtrack appearance. They appear in Jessie. They also, I bet, sing on the Radio Disney Music Awards because of course they did. Everyone sung on the Radio Disney Music Awards. Which brings me to the question, do they count? No, they don't. Of course they don't. Because, they were, again, established musicians that just, then went on the Disney Channel, and were no. Sorry, Con, you guys aren't Disney Channel pop stars. Which brings me to the next one, Shawn Mendes. Oh, I wonder if Shawn Mendes was a Disney Channel pop star. He started releasing music with a label in 2014. He won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in the same year. He also actually does have a song on Descendants called Believe, which I guess is the closest connection I can get to him being a Disney Channel pop star. But despite that, he absolutely doesn't count. He's a very successful musician, but he's not a Disney Channel pop star. Then we have Ollie Murs. Oh, another massively successful musician. Again, I think he's an X Factor alumni. I think he was a runner-up on the X Factor and started releasing music with a label very shortly after that, and then was named Radio Disney's Next Big Thing 5 years later. He's been building his career for 5 years, and now you're going, he's the next big thing, No. He has a bunch of hit songs like Heart Skips a Beat and Troublemaker, but in terms of his connection to Disney, he has one. He appears in 101 Dalmatian Street in 2019. He apparently voices a character called Spike the Doberman in a 2-part episode of 101 Dalmatian Street, and that is his one Disney appearance. And is that enough to include him as a... oh, my voice just went there. It's not, though. It's absolutely not. Who's next? We have B. Miller. Okay, so this one is a very interesting case. So her first record label that she signed for was Hollywood Records, so the Disney-owned record label where most of the Disney Channel pop stars started their music career, on Hollywood Records. Now, she never appears on the Disney Channel, which is probably why you'd think, okay, there's no real way she could be included then. But she does make an appearance, her first ever acting appearance, in Toy Story 3. She is voicing Molly. This is the voice of Molly in Toy Story 3. She didn't start her music career for a few years after that. Toy Story 3 came out in 2010 for context. She also actually was on the X Factor the year before she signed Hollywood Records, I should mention, where she actually finished 9th, I believe. She also has some notable work. Her album Not an Apology with obviously Hollywood Records producing the album hit number 7 in the charts. And she also has a hit single with Disney, Fire and Gold, which hit 78 and is certified platinum. So, some very notable music that she made with Disney. She was obviously a big thing, and that's why it's no surprise she won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2015. She also sung Youngblood, the DJ Mike D remix, on the Radio Disney Music Awards, and has a song To the Grave on Marvel's Cloak and Dagger soundtracks. It's another feature with Disney. Like, she's on a Disney soundtrack. They're kind of, you know, I'm basically, if you're on the Marvel soundtracks, I'm counting that as being a part of Disney. With that said, though, she did leave Hollywood Records in 2020, and I believe she started releasing music with a new label since then. Raising the question, does she count? I think this is a tight one, to be honest, much tighter than the other ones, but yes, I think she does. She made her first appearance in Toy Story 3. She was on Radio Disney's Next Big Thing. She was releasing music with Disney. I know she doesn't appear on the Disney Channel, but like, close enough. Anyway, that makes her the 73rd Disney Channel pop star. I just needed to catch a break. Just remember, there are some I've been harsh with, there are some I've been kinder with. I'm just trying to do it for pacing reasons, okay? Just like, give me a break, okay? If you want to give or take a few after the video, you can. Anyway, next up we have Jacob Whiteside. So another X Factor person. I don't think he went too far on the X Factor, but he did get a record deal pretty soon after leaving the X Factor. And of course, he won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2015. But other than that, he has absolutely no connection to Disney Channel. Does he count? Absolutely not. I don't even know why it's still spinning. Who's next? We have Kelsey Ballerini. Again, she doesn't appear on the Disney Channel, but she does have a hit song called Peter Pan. And obviously Peter Pan is a Disney movie, so, you know, that counts as something that doesn't really. But she started releasing music with a record label in 2014. She won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2016. That is it. Let's see, does she count? Again, just stop spinning. It doesn't matter. Who's next? We have Alicia Cara. 50. What's she done? She started releasing music with a record label in 2015, and I bet she won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2016. Now, this one, I believe, there is a little catch here, that she actually sings How Far I'll Go in Moana. You know, the end credits in Moana where they're like, how far I'll go. She is the pop star that's singing that in the movie, which is pretty cool. Does she count as a Disney Channel pop star though? I'm very sorry for that singing. No, she doesn't. Who's next? Tenecular Road, 13,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. So we've got a bit of a smaller group. We actually have, like, this is more what I'm looking for. They consist of Dawson, Maddie, and Emma. I believe these two must be sisters. Don't know who Dawson is. He's somehow connected, though. Now, they signed to Buena Vista Records in 2016. So they were signed to a Disney-owned record. Oh, now we can see why they won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing the following year. Because they were already signed to Disney's record label. It's them promoting their own musicians. I guess if you, like, do, like, a Radio Disney Next Big Thing and promote just, like, a bunch of successful artists and get them to, like, be like, oh my god, I'm Radio Disney's Next Big Thing. Like, you get Shawn Mendes to come in and be like, oh, I'm so excited that I'm Radio Disney's Next Big Thing. And Fifth Harmony are over here like, yeah, I'm so excited to be Radio Disney's Next Big Thing. And then next year they're like, Tenecular Road. And everyone's like, well, they must be good, right? Anyway, the Maddie left in 2022, and I believe that Dawson and Emma are still releasing music as a duo together. Do they count, though? I'm gonna say no. This is just Disney trying to promote some artists they have in their record label. They've got no connection to the Disney Channel whatsoever. Next up, though, we have Skylar Simone. Okay, Skylar Simone. This is actually someone who's been on the Disney Channel. I know that. She has 83,000 monthly listeners. She started releasing music with a record label in 2014. I believe she was releasing music with Keep Your Soul, the record, if you know that record label by any chance. And she makes 2 appearances on Austin and Ally in 2015. She also sings 2 songs in those 2 appearances, but weirdly, neither of those songs appear on the soundtrack. Because Austin and Ally have about 3 soundtracks, and she just doesn't appear on them. I have no idea why. However, with that said though, she does have a song on a Disney Channel soundtrack in the Bad Hair Day movie from 2015. She sings Rooftop. And of course, she won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2017. And I believe Rooftop is one of her biggest songs to this day, which is probably helped by the fact it is on a Disney Channel soundtrack. So, the big question, does she count? Yeah, I'm saying she does. Maybe I just need some wins right now, but I feel like she just about did enough. You know, she was Radio Disney's Next Big Thing. She makes a couple of appearances on the Disney Channel. She's unlucky not to be on multiple Disney Channel soundtracks. I really don't know why her songs on Austin and Ally aren't on a soundtrack. With that said, she's the 74th Disney Channel pop star. Next up we have Why Don't We? 6 million monthly listeners and an entire fan base on Twitter. Who is in the band? We have Jack, Corbin, Zach, Jonah, and Daniel. They started releasing music with a label in 2016. I believe they were releasing with Atlantic Records. They have 2 top 10 albums with them as well, and they have a couple hit songs as well, and they won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2018, around the same time where they were just collaborating with Logan Paul all the time. By the way, guys, just for the record, these guys have 2 songs with Logan Paul. Not 1, 2. They also actually have a bunch of certified records in the US, to be fair to them. They're a very successful group, and they actually went on a break in 2022, and I believe they are pursuing solo careers, I think. I actually don't quote me on that, I don't know, but I don't know what they're doing now. Either way, do they count as Disney Channel pop stars? No, they don't. However, really funnily, I'm starting to think, like, obviously I made a joke there that they have a song with Logan Paul. I have 2 songs with Logan Paul. They don't appear on the Disney Channel, but Logan Paul does appear on the Disney Channel. There's a weird episode of Bizaardvark with Logan Paul, Olivia Rodrigo, and Jake Paul on. So if Logan Paul had been named Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2018 instead of Why Don't We, would I have had to say yes based on the rules that he was on the Disney Channel and released? I mean, if you actually look at the long list I did at the start of the video, there's a bunch of YouTubers in it if you just pause it and try and spot them. Because there's a bunch of YouTubers who have done music and also been on the Disney Channel at some point, and therefore they counted towards the rules of this project. Anyway, who's next? We have Jagmac. Okay, let's talk about Jagmac. It's a bit of a small, oh my god, there are so many names there. They all have the same surname, if you haven't noticed there. And also, this is pretty fun here. Jagmac. Jagmac! That's the name of the band! Anyway, do they count as Disney Channel pop stars? They started releasing music in 2015. They won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2018. They have a bunch of songs that they are still releasing to this day, but they definitely aren't Disney Channel pop stars. I can just say no to that. They were a bit of a weird winner of Radio Disney's Next Big Thing, to be honest with you. Like, they aren't a massive artist. They haven't really become a megastar, and they also weren't with Disney. Like, they weren't on a Disney record label, so I don't know, to be honest, it doesn't matter at all. Let's move on to Anne-Marie. Oh, we've got another massive artist. Okay, she also doesn't appear on the Disney Channel, but she started releasing music with a record label in 2015, and she won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2019. As far as I'm aware, she doesn't have any songs with Disney. She doesn't feature on a soundtrack for Disney Channel or Walt Disney movies. That is as far as I'm aware. It is impossible to find anything about it, because if you search up Anne-Marie Disney, you just get the girl from All Dogs Go to Heaven. So does she count as a Disney Channel pop star? Why are you still spinning it? No! Bringing us to Lemon. Sorry. I'm too close to the screen. That's not my fault. Lennon Stella. Lennon, there's a successful musician who also had the name Lennon once upon a time. I don't know if you've heard of him. She has 3.5 million monthly listeners on Spotify, and I believe she actually started her career on the TV show Nashville. It's a musical TV show. I think she was on that for like 6 years, and is also part of a music duo of her sister Macy called Lennon and Macy. Anyway, she started releasing music as a solo artist with a record label in 2018, has a bunch of hit songs, and that led to her winning Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2019. Does she count though? No, she doesn't. I am not even going to give it the time of day of going over there. Of course, she doesn't count. Bringing us to Gabby Barrett. She also has 3.5 million monthly listeners on Spotify. So Gabby Barrett is actually someone who started on American Idol, I believe, back in 2018 and finished 3rd, and obviously started releasing music with a record label pretty much immediately after that. She's been doing music ever since and won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2019. Does she count though? I'm going to say, oh, I wonder. Oh, no, of course she doesn't. Which brings me to the final winner of Radio Disney's Next Big Thing. I'm sorry, this has gone on for so long. We actually have 2XO. Now, you might even recognize one of these people, because the members of 2XO, I actually mentioned this band earlier, are Jasmine Sagnario and Talia Sagnario. Now, you might remember, Jasmine Sagnario was one of the initial winners of Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in the earlier format, and I actually said she was a Disney Channel pop star. She obviously formed this group with her sister in 2017 and started releasing music independently with this group in 2017, and they actually gave her the award of Radio Disney's Next Big Thing in 2019. She won both versions of Radio Disney's Next Big Thing. However, with that said, they haven't actually released a single song since they won Radio Disney's Next Big Thing. And this was their last ever winner of this award, by the way. Radio Disney's kind of shut down since this, so do they count? Well, I don't think this is an even point of doing it. It's pretty much redundant. I mean, you guys didn't really think I was going to make Jasmine Sagnario a 2-time Disney Channel pop star, did you? Let's move on to the... Well, we're on to the next section of the video. So this is the soundtrack artist section, which basically means anyone who has pursued a career in music after first featuring in a Disney Channel soundtrack, whether that being them writing a song for a Disney Channel soundtrack themselves or singing a song in a Disney Channel musical. Basically, anyone who has been included on a Disney Channel soundtrack and then went on to pursue music at some point in their career. And we're going to go through all of them and see which of them count.
And again, this is pretty much already in the timeline, but this is spanning all the way from when they made their first original movie to the present day. So, just all of that.
Which brings me to the first soundtrack, the So Weird soundtrack. Now, you might know the show So Weird, first airing in 1999, and while there isn't an official soundtrack for it, like on streaming services or released as a CD. There's a guy called Zhao R who made a soundtrack for it in a forum in 2019, and it's so detailed and he's put so much effort into it. I feel like it kind of counts to me as the official soundtrack for this show, and because of that, we get one new person who could count as a Disney Channel pop star, Alexis Johnson. Alex Johnson? The Z's throwing me off a little bit there. Anyway, she has 12,000 monthly listeners, and she starred as Annie Felon in So Weird. Now, she isn't in the first 2 seasons of So Weird, but she stars in season 3 and has loads of songs on the soundtrack, which is actually one of 2 soundtrack appearances she makes on the Disney Channel. She also sings Everything Feels Like New on the Other Me movie from 2000s. Then, a few years after this, she started releasing music with a label in 2008. I believe she was releasing with the Orange record label and has now started releasing music independently. I believe she started releasing music independently in 2011 and is still releasing music to this day, which is great. And it makes it quite an interesting case because on the one hand, she started releasing music quite a while after she was on the Disney Channel, but then on the other hand, all her first songs were made with Disney, which brings us to the question, does she count? I think it's going to be close, and I'm saying yes, she does. She made all her first music with Disney, and she's officially our 75th Disney Channel pop star. Bringing me on to the next Disney Channel soundtrack, the Cadet Kelly film from 2002. Let's talk about Cadet Kelly. So, we have Macy Gray here. 3 million monthly listeners on Spotify she has, and great, okay. Which brings me on to Macy Gray. She has 3 million monthly listeners, and she actually started releasing music with a record label in 1999. I believe she released with Epic. So she's been releasing music before she was on the Disney Channel, but she does have a song on the 2002 Cadet Kelly soundtrack relating to a psychopath. So, you know, she's been connected to Disney in some way 3 years into her career. And she also makes one appearance on That's So Raven, and she also makes a few voice acting cameos in American Dragon Jake Long. Alongside this, she sings Don't Forget Me in the Walt Disney movie Confessions of a Shopaholic. But does she count? That's the question. Is she a Disney Channel pop star? I'm saying no. I mean, she's more of a musician who went on the Disney Channel when she was already like a big musician. Which brings me to the next soundtrack, Go Figure. This is the movie from 2005, and it introduces us to Brie Larson. You may know Brie Larson for starring as Captain Marvel today, but about 15 years earlier, she actually starred as Courtney Enders in the Disney Channel movie Right on Track, and started pursuing a music career around the same time in 2005, where she released her one album, Finally Out of PE, with Casablanca. She also has a song on the Go Figure soundtrack called She Said, but she hasn't pursued any music since. Other than the fact, I do believe she has a musical number in the Marvels movie. But I don't think that's on a soundtrack or anything. I think that's just a bit in the movie. So it doesn't really count. There's no other original music, though. Does she count? That's the question. I mean, she did make a song after, you know, but no, I'm not saying she counts. I just feel like she only made one appearance on the Disney Channel. And yeah, they used a song of hers on a soundtrack in 2005. But, you know, she was making appearances in all sorts of stuff. I feel like she was doing pretty well for herself all round. And, you know, I don't think she was really a Disney Channel star, so to speak. Bringing me on to the next Disney Channel soundtrack, we have Life is Rough, the Disney Channel movie from 2005, which introduces us to Kyle Massey. You probably know Kyle Massey, but probably not as much from Life is Rough, but more from the fact he starred as Corey Baxter in That's So Raven and, of course, Corey in the House, the spin-off show. On top of this, he features on 4 Disney Channel soundtracks. He has It's a Dog from Life is Rough, Let's Stick Together on That's So Raven 2, and included in these 4 soundtracks is 2 theme tunes, Yin Yang Yo, the title theme from Yin Yang Yo, and also Corey in the House, the theme tune from Corey in the House. He also features in 2 Walt Disney movie soundtracks where he sings Underdog Raps from the Underdog movie, and he also sings It's a Dog in the Shaggy Dog movie, meaning he has about 4 songs about dogs that he's just casually singing out here. He didn't actually start pursuing music until a few years after this, where he started releasing music independently in 2013, both in a group with his brother called the Massey Boys and independently, and his most recent song at the time of recording this video is called Trumpet. And that is a pun on the trumpet instrument and also just an endorsement of President Trump. By the way, he's a felon. He's got a criminal record, so it's no real... It brings me onto the scale. Don't get political, Seamus. People are going to stop watching. They're far enough into the video now already. He does count as a Disney Channel pop star. Our like 3rd felon and 76th overall. Which brings me on to the next soundtrack. We have High School Musical. You might know this one. Let's talk about Monique Coleman. She has 374,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and I believe she first appeared on the Disney Channel as a recurring character called Mary on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. But the main thing she's probably known for is appearing as Taylor Mackenzie in High School Musical. She obviously sings on the High School Musical soundtracks and is featured on 4 in total because she's in High School Musical 1, High School Musical 2, High School Musical 3, and then she returns for the High School Musical reunion in High School Musical, the series, the final season. She also has a few hit songs from the High School Musical soundtracks that broke into the Billboard Hot 100, being We're All in This Together and What Time Is It? And she started releasing music independently very recently in 2021. And I know that's a long time after High School Musical, like 15 years later, but her first ever songs were on High School Musical, and she was still doing stuff with Disney like after and around this when she was in High School Musical, the series. So does she count? I'm gonna say, yes, she does, making her the 77th Disney Channel pop star. You know, High School Musical star who went on to pursue music, Disney Channel pop star. That's the rules. Bringing me to the Hannah Montana soundtrack. Now, obviously, Hannah Montana started in 2006, around the same time as High School Musical, and it introduced Iyaz to the world, except not really. Iyaz started releasing music before he went on Hannah Montana in 2009 and appeared as himself in Hannah Montana, and also performed Pretty Girls on So Random. Another appearance on So Random, and of course, he sings with Hannah on Hannah Montana, and that is included on the Hannah Montana Forever soundtrack. Gonna get this, and it's the best Hannah Montana song. The boy, the boy, the boy, the honest truth, the real McCoy. You're the boy, the boy, the boy, you make me feel like a movie. This girl, this girl, this girl. Okay, I'm gonna stop. You saw enough of that, I think. Obviously, on top of this, he's got loads of successful music. He has a big hit called Replay, which hit #2 and is quadruple platinum, but none of this music was with Disney. So the question is, does he count as a Disney Channel pop star based on these appearances on Hannah Montana and So Random? I'm saying no, he doesn't. And to follow that up, we have another Hannah Montana guest star. So Sheryl Crow, she has nearly 7 million monthly listeners on Spotify, and she has been releasing music for a very long time. She started releasing in 1993 and has a lot of successful albums from the 90s and 2000s and still releasing music to this day. She obviously features on 2 Walt Disney movie soundtracks. I say obviously, I don't know if that was that obvious. She has a song on Sweet Home Alabama, and she sings Real Gone in Disney Pixar's Cars. She then goes on to appear as herself in Hannah Montana, and also has a song with Hannah where she sings Need a Little Love on the Hannah Montana Forever soundtrack. Which brings me on to the question, does she count? I mean, if Iyaz doesn't count, she wasn't going to count, so I don't think that's too big a shock. Bring me on to the next Disney Channel soundtrack, Cory in the House. Now, we've already talked about Cory himself, but now we have Mayara. Now, she starred as Mina Parum in Cory in the House, and also sings on the Cory in the House theme tune. Other than that, she doesn't feature on any Disney Channel soundtracks, but started releasing music independently in 2015. But you might have noticed she doesn't have any monthly listeners on Spotify, implying she doesn't have a Spotify account. Yes, for some reason, she just removed all the songs from her Spotify, but I found them. They're on your YouTube. If you're watching this, Maria, if you're watching this, Mayara, your songs are still on YouTube, so you could probably look into getting them taken down if you don't want them on the internet anymore. Anyway, she doesn't pursue music anymore, but does she count as a Disney Channel pop star? I'm saying yes. Okay, I know maybe this is a long shot, but she is singing on the Cory in the House theme tune. I think if you're in a theme tune, that's a big deal. She's starring on a Disney Channel show, she's singing the theme tune for the show, and I know she didn't pursue music for like 10 years after that, but the point is she did pursue music. I'm counting her as the 78th Disney Channel pop star. Maybe you don't want me to include that. Maybe I'm being too kind for this one, but she counts for me. Which brings me on to the next soundtrack. We have Camp Rock. Jordan Francis. He has 265,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and he appeared as a character called Baron James in Camp Rock. He obviously features in the Camp Rock soundtracks, both Camp Rock and Camp Rock 2. He has a few songs in the first one and one in the second one being It's On. And he also has started releasing music independently very recently. Does he count? Yes, he does. He is the 79th Disney Channel pop star. I know it was quite a long time after, like over 15 years later, but again, his musical brain would have been forged by his experiences on the Disney Channel. And I'm not speaking for him there. He said that himself. Okay, no, again, that's not true. I lied. That was a lie. Sorry. That he didn't actually say that, to my knowledge. And anyway, that brings us on to the next person from the Camp Rock soundtracks, Jordan Fegan. Why did I say Jordan? Sorry, that was my mistake. Let me go back. Roshan Fegan. Now, Roshan Fegan appeared as a character called Sander Lawyer in Camp Rock and obviously features on 4 Disney Channel soundtracks. Now, that's the 2 Camp Rock soundtracks, but alongside that, he also appears on 2 Shake It Up soundtracks because if you didn't know, he also appears in Shake It Up, which will probably be the next bullet point. It's not the next bullet point. He actually started releasing music independently in 2008. Before he appeared on Shake It Up as a character called Ty Blue. Now, trying to narrow down what Roshan's done in his music career is a little bit confusing, to be honest. He kind of has a separate Spotify where he does his own stuff, where he releases stuff independently. This Spotify number is from his appearances on Camp Rock and Shake It Up. He has an EP from 2012 called I Am Roshan. He also has an EP called Alien. A lot of the music that he did is with his own record label, at least I believe it's his own record label called Icononymous. Either way, he hasn't really done anything with a label. He's mostly done stuff himself, and he's still pursuing music to this day. Which brings me to, does he count? Oh, I wonder, does a star of Shake It Up count? Yeah, of course he counts. Roshan Fegan is the 80th Disney Channel pop star. Let's talk about it. We have Jasmine Richards. She appeared as Peggy Warburton in Camp Rock. She also started releasing music independently in 2009, very shortly following Camp Rock, and she hasn't released anything since 2012. Also, just for the record, she doesn't appear on the Camp Rock soundtrack. As you can see, I haven't included like her being featured on any Disney Channel soundtracks in there, and that is because all of her songs on the Camp Rock soundtracks, and by that I mean her one song on the Camp Rock soundtrack, was dubbed by Renee Sandstrom. But she obviously did pursue music briefly after Camp Rock, mostly through posting music onto MySpace and YouTube. Despite that though, does she count as a Disney Channel pop star? In this case, I'm saying no. See, she doesn't have a Disney Channel soundtrack appearance, really. She shouldn't really be in this presentation, upon reflection. I've kind of included her. That's a little extra one for you, okay? Next Camp Rock star, Iron Weasel. Okay. A bit of a weird case here. 10.4 thousand monthly listens on Spotify. Iron Weasel are a fictional band from I'm in the Band. They consist of Stevie Valentine, Logan Miller, Greg Baker, and Stephen Full. They are the characters Derek, Trip, Berger, and Ash in the show. They are featured on 2 Disney Channel soundtracks, one of which obviously being the I'm in the Band soundtrack, which apparently there isn't an official soundtrack for, but they did 19 songs on that show. So this is like another So Weird situation where despite the fact there isn't an official soundtrack, I feel like there should be an official soundtrack, and if there is, they are featured on it heavily. And they also, of course, feature on the Camp Rock soundtrack where they sing the song Rock Hard or Go Home, which is also actually from I'm in the Band, and that is also the only song on their Spotify, you know, because I'm in a Band doesn't have a soundtrack, so therefore like that's the only song that there is on record from them. However, this is also a confusing case because none of these guys are actually singing in the show. So firstly, most of them are just playing instruments. It's Stevie Valentine that's the one that's singing. He's the lead singer of the band, but all of the musical numbers are actually done by a guy called Chuck Duran. Chuck Duran is not in this video. He is not a Disney Channel pop star, but he does sing all the songs for the band in the show, and therefore I can only assume he is the one singing the song in the Shake It Up soundtrack, basically saying that this doesn't count at all. And yeah, the show actually got cancelled in 2011. It's a bit of a weird case. Are we going to count this fictional group? I'm going to say no, because they didn't do any of the music themselves, and I don't think they're even singing on the Camp Rock soundtrack. Which brings me to the next member of the Camp Rock soundtrack, Matthew M. Finley. He mostly goes by M. and started releasing music independently in 2009. He also then went on to star as Luke in Camp Rock 2, remember one of the bad guys from Camp Star, and I believe to this day that is his only acting role. He has a few songs on the Camp Rock soundtrack obviously, which actually went on to hit number 3 in the charts, and outside of that he has just been doing music again independently pretty much for his entire life. Weirdly as well, considering he's been doing music for 15 years, he still hasn't done an album. He has one EP which came out in 2017 called Him First, and other than that he's just done loads of singles, but to this day he's still releasing music. I believe he released 4 singles this year, which brings me to the question, does he count? His one acting role is on Disney, remember? So yes, he does. He is the 81st Disney Channel pop star, yeah. Which brings me on to Sweet Life on Deck. Now, Sweet Life on Deck doesn't have a massive soundtrack, but Shane Harper here, you might know him from other things, actually sung the song in the closing scene of the show. Like, his song, One Step Closer, is the song playing when they're all graduating at the end of Sweet Life on Deck. Which is really random, to be honest, considering he's never on the show, but, you know, let's talk about him. He starred as Spencer Walsh in Good Luck Charlie, and he started releasing music with a label in 2011. I believe he was releasing with Deep Well back in 2011. He also featured on 2 Disney Channel soundtracks, one of them being the Sweet Life on Deck soundtrack, the other one being the Good Luck Charlie soundtrack, where he sings a few songs on Good Luck Charlie as well. Since leaving the Disney Channel, he started releasing music independently as an EP called Apt 401, which is his independent EP, but that is also the last thing he officially released. But the big question is, does he count as a Disney Channel pop star? Well, apparently the answer is yes. I accidentally pressed the clicker a few too many times. He's the 82nd Disney Channel pop star. Who's next, or what's the next soundtrack? We have Zeke and Luther. Let's talk about who's on Zeke and Luther. We've got Daniel Curtis Lee. Now, you may know Daniel Curtis Lee a little bit better from being on Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, but he does also star as Kojay Jonesworth in Zeke and Luther, and I believe he did the theme tune for Zeke and Luther. He also has 2 songs that have been released to Spotify from Zeke and Luther called You Can't Touch This and In the Summertime, which are both on his Spotify to this day. And he officially started pursuing music in 2011, around the same time as when he would have been on the show Zeke and Luther. He has the first song On the Fly that came out in 2011, and I believe his most recent song is called Won the Game of Life, which came out last year. Does he count as a Disney Channel pop star? I'm going to say yes, he does, making him the 83rd Disney Channel pop star. First songs on Disney Channel, went on to pursue music. It's a tale of as old as time. Bringing me to the next soundtrack, Den Brother, the DCOM from 2010. Who's on Den Brother? We have Caitlin Taylor Love with the 6. She has 6 Spotify. For the first time, I think I can actually say, I think I could make a Spotify and have more than 6 listeners. There's absolutely no disrespect. I assume she's not pursuing music, but... So she actually started on America's Got Talent back in 2006, I think the first season of America's Got Talent, matter of fact, and made it to the semi-finals and started releasing with a label pretty shortly after that. She starred and appeared as Izzy Fuentes in I'm in a Band, so like her career was very much on the up. You know, like she didn't win America's Got Talent, but she was signed to a record label and on the Disney Channel within 3 years, so doing pretty well for herself. And she also sings on the Den Brother soundtrack, as I would have kind of implied. She also doesn't have any music since 2011, hence the lack of Spotify monthly listeners, because, you know, she hasn't released anything for 13 years. But the big question is, does she count? I am saying no, she doesn't. She started on America's Got Talent. Again, we could do a whole video going through everyone America's Got Talent has attempted to create into a pop star. It probably wouldn't be as interesting because it would just be me reading through a Wikipedia page. What is the next soundtrack? We have Shake It Up. Now, Shake It Up has lots of soundtracks, and many of them star many of the stars in the show, one of which being Deuce Martinez, or as I like to call him, 40-40 in tennis Martinez. That's a little tennis joke for you. I play tennis every week now, guys, by the way. I've actually started to get pretty good. My serve is like, if that was information you were interested in, then great. If not, then you just like, I want to hear about more pop stars, Seamus. We don't need to know about your personal life playing tennis. He also, as a result of this, appears on 2 Walt Disney movie soundtracks. Those soundtracks are Treasure Buddies and Spooky Buddies. So, you know, those films with talking dogs that they made? He actually sings on those soundtracks with other stars from Shake It Up. And yeah, it's a bit of a random like crossover, but they are on that. And he also, of course, sings on the Shake It Up Live to Dance soundtrack. I think he has a couple songs on that soundtrack, which actually hit number 13 in the charts. Since then, he started pursuing music independently in 2012 with his first song, Schoolgirl, that came out in 2012. And yeah, he hasn't actually released anything since then. And I mean, you are an adult man now. I don't think you should just have one song called Schoolgirl. I think that doesn't look great, Adam. Did I ever say his name? I don't think I said his name. Anyway, what is his status as a Disney Channel pop star? He counts. Of course he counts. He's on Disney movies. He's on the Disney Channel. He sings on both of them. And he's the 84th Disney Channel pop star. Bringing me on to the next one. It's Vegard. Oh my God. He looks like you. So I need to correct myself. This is Kenton Duty, not Vegard. Kenton Duty obviously starred as Gunther Hessenheffer in Shake It Up. He is featured on the same 2 Walt Disney movie soundtracks that Adam was featured on. It's the same 2 songs. And he also, of course, features on the Shake It Up Live to Dance soundtrack. He has the song Show You How also with Adam. By the way, all these songs they did, guys, are together. On the contrary, though, he started releasing music independently in 2014. Kenton was like, I'm going to give it more time, you know, I'm going to give it a few years to really work on my craft and like try and take this music thing seriously. I don't want to just be someone that only releases one song. He only released one song. That was his only ever song that he released. Which brings me to the question, does he count? One song or not, it doesn't matter, he still counts. He's the 85th Disney Channel pop star. It doesn't matter if he only made one song, guys. He did his first songs like with Disney, and then he went and pursued a musical career after that. That's a Disney Channel pop star if I've ever seen one. Next soundtrack, we have Lemonade Mouth. Turn the world into your dance floor. Determinate. So we have Naomi Scott here. She has 3.3 million monthly listeners on Spotify, and you might know her from something else now, but the first thing she did was star as Mo Banjari in Lemonade Mouth. I say that's the first thing she did. It isn't technically the first thing she did, but it was one of her first ever roles as an actor, and it was on the Disney Channel. As a member of Lemonade Mouth, the band from the movie Lemonade Mouth, she obviously sings on the soundtrack, which, as I've said probably 100 times in this video, hit number 4 in the charts. And on top of that, she also has 3 top 200 singles from that movie, being She's So Gone, Turn Up the Music, and Breakthrough, all breaking into the top 200 of the Billboard Hot 100. She started releasing music independently in 2014. She did a bunch of songs independently and actually had quite a bit of success doing music independently, which is rare because most people need a label to have success, which is a problem with the music industry because you need a label to have success. But I'm not going to get into that conversation this deep into the video. But the big thing, the most interesting thing about her is that she actually starred as Jasmine in Disney's live-action remake of Aladdin. Is that not crazy that 2 of the stars of Disney's live-action remakes have started out as like a Disney Channel star? And obviously, yeah, that soundtrack hit number 6. She sings like a bunch of songs on that soundtrack. It's done really well. A Whole New World from the 2019 version is actually certified gold in the US. I mean, I assume the original version is probably like certified multiple platinum, but this one's certified gold and it's much newer, which is cool. And she hasn't actually released any music since 2019, but obviously she's been doing a lot of acting work and she's had a lot on. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, and she's still got 3.3 million monthly listeners. Which brings me to the question, does she count as a Disney Channel pop star? Yes, and I think she is one of the coolest ones we've had so far, making her the 86th Disney Channel pop star. Bringing me on to the next one, Hayley Kiyoko. She has a very respectable 2.2 million monthly listeners on Spotify and starred as Stella Yamada in Lemonade Mouth. I also remember her being in Wizards of Waverly Place, which I actually believe was her first appearance on the Disney Channel. She played a character called Stevie. Obviously, as a member of Lemonade Mouth from Lemonade Mouth, she's obviously on the Lemonade Mouth soundtrack, which hit number 4, and she has 2 top 200 singles from Lemonade Mouth, being Turn Up the Music and Breakthrough. Since then, she started releasing music independently in 2013 before she landed a record deal in 2016 with Empire and Atlantic, I believe, where she is still releasing music with to this day. She has a pretty successful album called Expectations, which came out in 2018 and hit number 12 in the charts, and has a pretty big single called Girls Like Girls, which is certified gold. And I think some people would say, not myself because I can't speak for them, that it's a lesbian anthem. I've heard that through the grapevine. Which brings us to the question, does she count? I am saying absolutely yes. She's the 87th Disney Channel pop star. Go on, Hayley. Let's get on to the next soundtrack. We have Ant Farm. Firstly, we have Stephanie Scott here. Now, Stephanie Scott's like the mean cool girl in Ant Farm, and she actually started releasing music independently in 2008 before she was ever on the Disney Channel. I believe her first single was called Break the Floor, released in 2008, and yeah, so she was pursuing a music career before she was on the Disney Channel, where she went on to land a role as Lexi Reed in Ant Farm in 2011. She sings on the Ant Farm soundtrack with the song Pose, which she sings with Carlon Jeffrey, another star of Ant Farm, and she hasn't actually released any music since 2014, but she was doing everything independently from up until that point, and I believe she has a song on a soundtrack as of 2021, but again, it's not like an official solo song. But the big question is, does she count as a Disney Channel pop star? In this case, I'm saying no. She was doing music before Disney, and she didn't really do much music after Disney. It's a very weird case. Usually it's the other way around. Anyway, next up we have Carlon Jeffrey himself. Now, as you can see, he doesn't have a Spotify, but in this case, it doesn't mean everything. He starred as China's brother Cameron in Ant Farm, and he has 2 songs on the Ant Farm soundtrack. Obviously, he has Pose with Stephanie Scott. He also has the song Summertime on the soundtrack. Now, he started releasing music independently also around this time. I believe it's under the name Lil C Note. I think he releases under the name Lil C Note, and he's been releasing music on YouTube and SoundCloud. However, it is a bit confusing because there are a lot of people who use the name Lil C Note, and I've gone for a bunch of people with a Lil C Note Spotify handle, and none of them are him. But then he does have music under the name Lil C Note on YouTube, on SoundCloud, and it's clearly him. Either way, with that said, he hasn't released anything since 2013, but he did somewhat pursue music independently without going onto the streaming services. And in fairness to him, back in 2011, we didn't know streaming services were going to take over the world. So not having your music on streaming services back then isn't everything. So it doesn't mean he wasn't attempting to become a musician. So for that reason, I'm going to say yes, he counts. I think he's the 88th Disney Channel pop star. He pursued music after being on the Disney Channel. Bringing me to the next soundtrack, we have There we go. Austin and Halle. Obviously, we've already had Ross Lynch, but introducing Laura Marano. She has 127,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and obviously stars as Halle in Austin and Halle. Of course, just like Ross Lynch, she sings the Can't Do It Without You theme tune from Austin and Halle, and she also features on 3 Disney Channel soundtracks. Now, I want to clarify, this isn't just the Austin and Halle soundtracks. There are 3 Austin and Halle soundtracks. You're correct in thinking that. But weirdly, she doesn't appear on the first one. The first one is solely Ross Lynch. And her 3rd soundtrack appearance actually is For the Ride on the Bad Hair Day movie that she stars in. From that, has sung Shine on Disney Fairies Faith, Trust and Pixie Dust soundtrack. This is, again, a weird soundtrack that they made where I feel like they were planning on making more Disney Fairies movies, and then Disney Toon went out of business, and they had a bunch of songs that were made for the Disney Fairies movie franchise that they couldn't use in future movies because they weren't being made, and therefore they just threw them all in the soundtrack. Yeah, I'm counting that as almost being in a Walt Disney movie. And she actually started releasing music independently in 2016 with her own record label, Flip Phone Records. She's definitely trying to build up her own record label, and I think she's doing pretty well for herself. She's released quite a few EPs and just released her first album last year. I may be an actress, but I can't fake how I feel. I think her music's pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, let's get on to, does she count as a Disney Channel pop star? It's gonna be no surprise to anyone that yes, she absolutely does, making her the 89th Disney Channel pop star. We are so nearly at 100. Bringing me to the next soundtrack, Let It Shine. Okay, let's have some words here. Okay, I'm going to bring out some unpopular truths. Not opinions, truths. Let It Shine, I genuinely believe this, is top 3 Disney Channel movies of all time. I watched it the other day. The music's good, the choreography's good, the rapping's good. Like, genuinely, it's really well made. I was like, this doesn't feel like a Disney Channel movie. This seems too good to be a Disney Channel movie. It has a good story. It just flows well, it works well. Really good movie. And obviously, Tyler James Williams here is the star of Let It Shine. He plays the character Cyrus DeBarge. On top of that, obviously, he sung in the Let It Shine soundtrack, which hit number 12 in the charts, deservedly so. It's a fantastic soundtrack. I actually kind of want to listen to it right now. And he started releasing music independently a few years later in 2015. He has a mixtape from 2015 called Me, My Brother, and a Mic. I'm assuming it's with his brother. I don't know if his brother's producing it or something, but as far as I'm aware, that is the only thing I can find that he's released. I can't find any record of anything else. So does he count? Well, he obviously starred in Let It Shine and he had his own music. Of course he counts. Tyler James Williams, Disney Channel pop star number 90. Bringing me on to the next Disney Channel soundtrack, Dog with a Blog. Bringing me on to Genevieve Hernelius. She has 2 difficult names to pronounce, not just 2. To be fair to her, I do believe she just goes by G now, so maybe I should have just called her G. But anyway, she has 4.6 thousand monthly listeners on Spotify and starred as Avery Jennings in Dog with a Blog. That wasn't her first Disney Channel appearance though. I think she made a lot of appearances on shows like Hannah Montana. She recurs as a character in Sunny Over Chance. She's in Den Brother, the Disney Channel movie. She's in Good Luck Charlie as a recurring character. She's in I'm in a Band. She sings a song on the Dog with a Blog soundtrack called Friends Do and started releasing music independently in 2011. I believe she's got a lot of singles that she put out then, but no album, and hasn't actually released any songs since 2016. Now, I've got to apologize here. I actually do think I've got these bullet points in the wrong order. She actually started releasing music independently before she was on Dog with a Blog. So Friends Do wasn't her first song. She did have a few songs before that, but with that said, she also appeared on the Disney Channel a lot before she started releasing music independently. She'd been on a lot of shows. So, I don't know, take what you want out of that. I think it's pretty obvious that she's a yes, and she is the 91st Disney Channel pop star. Bringing me on to the next show, we have Girl vs. Monster. This isn't a show, this is a movie, sorry. Bringing us Luke Benwood. Now, Luke Benwood made 11 appearances on the Disney Channel. I know usually I say like, oh, they starred in something, but he starred in 3 movies, and I thought it would take up too many bullet points. He also made 6 appearances on Good Luck Charlie, which might be what you recognize him for, and he's also in Girl Meets World a couple times. He started releasing music with a label in 2009. I believe he put an EP out called Let Your Love Out with I Shine Records, and he also features on 2 Disney Channel soundtracks. He has Had Me at Hello on Girl vs. Monster, and Cloud 9, the song with Dove Cameron, on Cloud 9. His EP was the only thing he officially released as a solo project. Obviously, he's done stuff with Disney Channel since then, but yeah. You had me at hello, you had me at hello. I'm saying he doesn't count. He was doing music in 2009. He didn't really do music after 2009. He was mostly on the Disney Channel after 2009. Yeah, he was in one movie in 2008, but I don't know, if you guys want him, you can have him. Which brings me to the co-star and other person singing on the Girl vs. Monster soundtrack. Catherine McNamara made 6 appearances on the Disney Channel, the first 3 of those being in Kicking It. Then she obviously starred in Girl vs. Monster and also makes a couple appearances on Jessie. She features on the Girl Meets World soundtrack with Nothing's Gonna Stop Me and Had Me at Hello. And after that, she started releasing music with a record label in 2017. She released 5 songs, I believe, between 2017 and 2021. She hasn't released anything since 2021, but I think, personally, I don't know about you, I think she counts. I don't know. I just think, like, she started on the Disney Channel, then she went on to make music. That's kind of the way it goes. And that makes her the 92nd Disney Channel pop star. Bringing me to the Teen Beach Movie. Yes, we're getting pretty far into this now. We've got the Teen Beach Movie. Let's see, what happened? We've got Garrett Clayton. Oh, the best character from the Teen Beach Movie. None other than Tanner. Oh, if you know, you know. And obviously, he features on both of the Teen Beach Movie soundtracks, both breaking it into the top 10, as I've said before. And he started releasing music independently last year in 2023, but I need to give you some context for this. The songs he's released are called The Ocean Will Be Mine, Barbie Boys, and I Put a Spell on You. It's like parody music for YouTube. Yeah, I don't think it counts. He's not really making music. Well, no, he is making music. He's not making pop music. And when it gets to the question, does he count or not? Unfortunately, I am just gonna have to say no. It's not him. It's the music. You know, it's jokey. It's not. He'll agree with me, I'm sure. He doesn't think of himself as a pop star. He's not releasing pop music. He's great in Teen Beach Movie. I'm his biggest fan. I'm not trying to say he's not a Disney Channel pop star. I'm just saying he's not a Disney Channel pop star, okay? Who's next from the Teen Beach Movie? We have Chrissy Fit. She plays Chi-Chi in the Teen Beach Movie and is featured on both of the Teen Beach Movie soundtracks. Now, she does mostly feature on the ensemble numbers in the Teen Beach Movie soundtracks, but she does have Fallen Fear, which she sings as a duet. And she actually started releasing music with a label, I believe the Silent Giant Records, in 2015, where she released a Christmas EP, and that is the only thing she's ever released. Does she count as a Disney Channel pop star, though? I'm gonna say, yes, she does. She only released a Christmas EP in 2015, but yeah, we gotta take our wins at points. And she started on the Disney Channel. They molded her brain musically. Which brings me to the next soundtrack, Liv and Maddie, the 2013 show. Let's talk about Dove Cameron. How has it taken this long to get to Dove Cameron? 9.2 million monthly listeners, and she has come in this late in. She starred on Liv and Maddie as 2 characters. She played both Liv Rooney and Maddie Rooney. And another thing I can't really work out, like, couldn't they just find twins to play these characters? She also sung the theme tune for Liv and Maddie, Better in Stereo, and then starred as Mal in Descendants. Yes, she is in Descendants. She is in Liv and Maddie. She is starring in 2 of their biggest franchises. And because of all this, she is on 6 Disney Channel soundtracks. She's on the Liv and Maddie soundtrack, she's on the Shake It Up I Heart Dance soundtrack, she's on the Cloud 9 soundtrack, and she's on all 3 of the Descendants soundtracks, which were monumental successes at the I was going to say the box office there. I meant on the Billboard 200. And also because of this, she features on 4 top 100 Disney Channel singles. These are all from Descendants, and I think the most famous one is probably Rotten to the Core from Descendants, which hit number 38 and is certified gold. But she also has It's Going Down from Descendants 2, which is actually a certified platinum record. She's also featured on the Marvel Rising soundtrack, this time Secret Warriors, with the song Born Ready, before finally starting to release music herself with a label in 2019. She didn't release anything with a label herself until 2019. I feel like I was listening to her music before 2019. I mean, yes, Descendants, but like, is it just me? I feel like she's been around so much longer. And does she count as a Disney Channel pop star? Oh, I wonder. Oh, the suspense. Yeah, she does, of course. She's the 94th Disney Channel pop star. Bringing me to Lauren Donzis, another person who was on the Liv and Maddie soundtrack. She, of course, starred as Ruby in Liv and Maddie. Sorry, she didn't really star. She appeared like 15 times on the show. She also has 2 songs on the Liv and Maddie soundtrack, One Second Chance and Power of Two, and started releasing music independently in 2018. She released 1 song called Everything I Need, which has now been removed from Spotify, but again, it's still on YouTube. Lauren, if you are listening, your song is still on YouTube. You can still listen to it. Anyway, that is, as I said, that was her last release. She's only released the 1 song. Does she count as a Disney Channel pop star? I'm going to say, yes, she does. She's the 95th Disney Channel pop star. Bring me on to the next soundtrack. It's Bunked. We've got Kevin Quinn. Oh, okay, wait, I've just got to go. Okay, let's talk about Kevin Quinn. He is the hardest person to research on this entire video, and this is not his fault. It's no one's fault. Well, I don't know, it's someone's fault probably. You can see him here. He's about my age. I believe he was on American Idol in 2013. He started on that. And he starred on the Disney Channel in about 2015. Now, there's another guy who just so happens to also be called Kevin Quinn, who was doing like soundtracks and composing for Disney back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and did loads of stuff for them. He wrote the Hercules music. He did stuff for High School Musical. And I think he's still doing stuff for Disney to this day. I believe he did some music for High School Musical, the series. The problem with this is when you're on the Wikipedia pages and you're trying to look into this information, it comes up, oh, Kevin Quinn was the writer of this song for this episode of High School Musical, the series. I'm like, oh, why is the guy from like Bunked doing stuff for High School Musical, the series? You click on it, it takes you to his Wikipedia page. You're like, oh, okay, it must be him. We'll be researching him. He'll be on his IMDb page. He'll be on his Wikipedia or something. And it'll just be like, he composed something before he was born. And I'm like, that just doesn't seem right. Long story short, there's two guys called Kevin Quinn, very much in the same circles at Disney, and it made it very confusing to work out who did what. And to this day, I still don't really know. Maybe he did do some songs for High School Musical, the series, and I just have no idea. I don't know, I just wanted to vent about that. Let's talk about Kevin Quinn. He does the theme tune for Bunked, Kikiwaka, and he also sings the song Tidal Wave on the Bunked soundtrack. Since then, he has started releasing music with a label in 2021. He's released an EP in 2022 and released his first album this year. Which brings me to the question, does he count? I mean, yeah, he did a theme tune. Of course he's going to count. Why are we even debating this? He's the 96th Disney Channel pop star. Which brings me on to Descendants. Yes, we're finally talking about Descendants, the Disney Channel movie from 2015, and Brenna D'Amico. So Brenna stars as Jane in Descendants, the daughter of the fairy godmother, and she has songs on 2 of the Descendants soundtracks. She has Rather Be With You on Descendants 2 and Break This Down on Descendants 3. Since then, she has started releasing music independently and has 2 songs on her Spotify, We Are the Fire and Don't Want You Back. Does she count as a Disney Channel pop star? Yes, she absolutely does. She's the 97th Disney Channel pop star, bringing us on to the next person from Descendants. We have Jada Marie. She first appears on Descendants 3. She's Celia Facilier, the daughter of the guy from Princess and the Frog. She obviously has a few songs on the Descendants 3 soundtrack, being Good to Be Bad, Nightfalls, and Break This Down, and that soundtrack hit number 7 in the charts. And she also started releasing music independently in 2020. She has 3 songs, as far as I'm aware, called Staycation, The Chase, and Girl on Fire. Now, I believe Girl on Fire is the only song on her Spotify at the moment, and that came out earlier this year. So, yeah, but does she count is the question. Yes, she counts. Of course she counts. Guys, we don't even need to be answering these questions. It's 98th Disney Channel pop star. Let's go. Who's the next person from Descendants? Cheyenne Jackson. Now, this is a bit of a weird one because he's been on like Broadway and stuff from long before he was ever on the Disney Channel, and also started releasing music long before he was ever on the Disney Channel. He was releasing music independently as of 2012. He does, though, appear as Hades in Descendants 3 and features on the Descendants 3 soundtrack with the song Do What You Gotta Do. But as I said, he's been releasing music for long before he was on the Disney Channel, so I'm going to give him a firm no. You guys know how it works by now. If you're making music long before you're on the Disney Channel and Disney Channel didn't really influence your music career, you don't count. If Disney Channel probably made some influence on musical career, you count. Who's next? Do I even need to go through it? Guys, can we just like quickly just fly through it? Yeah, obviously, Kristen Chenoweth, she's in Wicked. Of course, we know this. She plays Maleficent in Descendants, and she sings on Descendants. Does she count? No, absolutely not. Okay, who's next? Rita Ora. Okay, yeah, we don't need to do this. Let's just get through this. She started releasing music in 2012. Yeah, of course she did. She's a massive success. She plays the Queen of Hearts in Descendants, The Rise of Red. It did really well. Of course it did. She's featured on it. Does she count as a Disney Channel pop star? No, absolutely not. Sorry, I'm getting really sick of this. Okay, sorry. We're going to be more professional with this PowerPoint from now. Who do we have next? Alex Beniello. I don't know how to say it. And you know what? At this point, does it even matter? Anyway, he started releasing music with a record label in 2020 and obviously appeared as the Jack of Diamonds in Descendants, The Rise of Red. He sings the song Red in Descendants, The Rise of Red. Well, he sings on the song Red, obviously. That's mostly like Kylie Cantrall, and it goes like red, 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 red. But yeah, he is on that song. Does he count though? That is the question. I'm going to say no, he doesn't, because, you know, he's been on the Disney Channel for about 5 minutes. What are you expecting me to say? Yeah, of course he's a Disney Channel pop star. He literally made his first appearance on the Disney Channel last month. Bringing us to the next soundtrack, we have Zombies. Oh, let's talk about Zombies, okay. We have James Godfrey. He appears as Bonzo in the Zombies movies and features on 2 of the Zombies soundtracks. Sorry, he sings on My Year and We Got This in Zombies 1 and Zombies 2. He only really features in the massive ensemble numbers in Zombies 3 and isn't listed on any of the soundtrack track listings, so I'm gonna say he's technically not on the third soundtrack, but if you really want to argue it, maybe he is. He also started releasing music independently in 2019, and by that I mean he has a song on his YouTube channel called Make It Home, which, I mean, if you can call it a song, I don't know if he's being serious. I don't understand this man's YouTube channel at all. He has a video called I'm Not the Real James Godfrey. I watched it the whole time. I'm like, is this you or not? I think he's just a crafty jokesman, but he's more of a YouTuber than a Disney Channel pop star, I'm telling you. This man, he's one of me. Also, James, if you're watching this video, make sure to subscribe, okay? Because I've subscribed to you. Let's work something out. If you can get me on the Disney Channel, get me in for Zombies 4, I'd be eternally grateful, okay? The big question, though, is does he count as a Disney Channel pop star? I'm saying no. James, please still consider me for Zombies 4. This isn't personal, I swear. Bring me to the next, and I believe final Zombies soundtrack star that I haven't spoken about already in this video, Baby Ariel. She started releasing music with a label in 2017. I believe she started on TikTok, or Musical.ly at the time, and has been around for a long time before getting her role on Zombies. Obviously, she starred as Winter Barkowitz in Zombies 2 and, of course, Zombies 3, and she features on the Zombies soundtracks because of that, or at least Zombies 2 and Zombies 3 soundtracks. As I said, though, she's been around a long time before Disney, and I believe she is still releasing music to this day, but now independently. Does she count as a Disney Channel pop star, though? I don't think so. She was a TikTok star, if anything. Like, don't really know how she got the gig of being on the Disney Channel, but like, if you're watching this video, Baby Ariel, could you let me know? Again, Zombies 4, I'll play a zombie, I'll play a werewolf, I'll play an alien, I'll play a vampire, whatever you want to include in that movie, I'll do it. I'm going to stop trying to push for me being in Zombies 4 for a few minutes. As we move on to the next soundtrack, we have Freaky Friday. Now, I should clarify, this isn't the original Freaky Friday movie. This is like the new Freaky Friday musical that Disney made in 2018. And it introduces us to Isaiah appears as Carl Carlson in Freaky Friday and has a few songs on the soundtrack being Oh Biology and Go. I believe he started releasing music independently in 2019 under the name Hermit, and as of 2022 he released his first EP called Stage Clear. Does he count as a Disney Channel pop star? I'm saying yes he does, making him the 99th Disney Channel pop star, bringing us to High School Musical, the series. And this is just where it starts to get a bit insane, okay? Firstly, we have Joshua Bassett. This isn't going to be too much of a surprise. Joshua Bassett starred as Ricky Bowen in High School Musical, the series. This is basically his show, and he's featured on all 5 of the High School Musical, the series soundtracks. Some of them did really well, like the first one broke to number 31 in the charts and is certified gold. The second one hit number 58 in the charts. He has so many songs on all of these soundtracks and has started releasing music with a label as of 2020 and has released his first album this year called The Golden Years. Meaning I don't think it's really up for debate that he's a Disney Channel pop star. Of course he is, making him the 100th Disney Channel pop star. What a moment. We've got 100 Disney Channel pop stars. Then we have his co-star, Joe Serafini. Joe Serafini starred in High School Musical as Seb Matthew Smith. I mean, I say starred. He mostly starred in season 2. He's in a lot of episodes of season 1. He's in 1 episode of season 3 and then 5 episodes of season 4. Because of that, he's featured on 4 of the soundtracks. And as of this year, he started releasing music independently. He has 2 songs called Take It Slow and That's Special. Does he count as a Disney Channel pop star? Yes, he does, making him the 101st Disney Channel pop star. And then we have another star from High School Musical, the series. I'm telling you guys, everyone in this show has pursued music. We have Larry Saperstein. He stars as Big Red in High School Musical, the series. Again, just to clarify, he stars in season 1 and 2. He's in a few episodes of season 3 and 4. So therefore, he isn't in all of the soundtracks. He's in 3 of them. And I don't think he has any music on his Spotify other than this. But he has released music on his YouTube. He has a song on his YouTube called Not Quite Christmas, which he released in 2020. And he also has a song called We're Done With You, an original breakup song on his YouTube all the way back from 2012. And I'm going to say that counts as being a musician, which means okay, never mind. I haven't counted him. I think it's not, right now, in this moment in time, 1st of September 2024, he is not a Disney Channel pop star. Bringing me to Olivia Rose Keegan. Now, Olivia Rose Keegan first actually appeared on the Disney Channel in Ant Farm in 2012, playing an Australian girl, and then finally got a bigger role as Lily in High School Musical, the musical series. I believe she appears in 10 episodes, and she sings the song Home on High School Musical, the musical series season 2. Sorry, the soundtrack season 2. She also has one song which she released in 2023 called Game Over. So as far as I'm aware, she was making music for the Disney Channel, and she went on to release music afterwards, which means it's going to be undoubtedly a big yes. She is the 102nd Disney Channel pop star. Bringing me on to Mark St. Cyr, just the 548 monthly listeners on Spotify. He started releasing music independently in 2007. He has an album that came out in 2007 called He's Able to Perform. Now, this album isn't what I would call a pop album. It's very instrumental focused, but there are a few bits of singing and vocal work in there. And he's more recently, gone on to be Mr. Mazzarara in High School Musical, the musical, the series, playing the teacher. And I believe he's in 23 of the episodes and sings on the High School Musical, the musical, the series, High School Musical, the musical, the holiday special, the soundtrack. He sings What Are You Doing New Year's Eve? Hasn't released any music officially since 2007. Does he count? That's the question. That is what we are trying to answer here. No, he doesn't. Okay, yeah, basically, just for a little rundown here, the first few were people who starred in the show. Now, it's just basically anyone who was ever on the show. And long story short, most of the people they cast to be in this show had done music at some point before, because obviously it's a musical show. They want people who can sing on this show. So there are just so many people who have done music that were on this show. It feels a bit never-ending. But we're going to try and do it as quickly as we possibly can. Next up, we have Roman Banks. He started releasing music independently in 2018. He released an EP called Days in 2020. Makes 7 appearances in High School Musical, the musical, the series. He plays a character called Halle. And he sings the song If I Can't Love Her on High School Musical, the musical, the series, the soundtrack, season 2. And he hasn't released anything officially since his 2020 EP called Days. So his Disney Channel singing literally comes after his official music that he was releasing. So I wonder, is he going to be a Disney Channel pop star? I'm going to say no, he's not. Bringing me to the next one, we have Derek Ho. He started releasing music independently in 2016 and appears as a character called Zach Roy in High School Musical, the musical, the series. And he sings one song on High School Musical, the musical, the series, the soundtrack, season 2, called Around You. He's still releasing music independently to this day, but does he count because he was releasing music about 7 years before he was on the Disney Channel? No, he doesn't. Next up, we have Matt Sato. He started releasing music with a label in 2017, and he appeared as a character called Mac Alana in High School Musical, the musical, the series. He actually, interestingly, sings on the high school reunion from High School Musical, the series, the soundtrack, the final season, which is the song with all the old cast. And he hasn't actually released any music since 2020. His last thing was his EP called Better Days, which came out in 2020. So does he count? I don't think he's going to. I'm really not feeling good about it. Nope, he does not. Bringing me to the next one, we have Aria Brooks, 5.3 thousand monthly listeners, and she started releasing music independently in 2021. Then she appeared as Alex on High School Musical for 3 episodes in season 3 and sings the song A Little Bit of You on High School Musical, the musical series season 3 soundtrack. Since then, she's actually sung the song About to Go Off from the Better Nate Than Never movie by Walt Disney Studios. So she has a Disney Channel soundtrack appearance and a Walt Disney movie soundtrack appearance. And yeah, she's been releasing music since 2021. Does she count on the scale? That is the question. I'm going to say yes, she does. It's a very close one. Don't get me wrong. It's very, very close. Because she appears in a Walt Disney movie soundtrack alongside her Disney Channel soundtrack, I feel like she's taking the steps to become a Disney Channel star more appropriately than those who have been releasing music for about 10 years before coming on High School Musical, the musical, the series. She'd only started music about a year before she was on High School Musical, the musical, the series, and then she. I don't need to explain my points to you. Okay, she's the 103rd Disney Channel pop star. Bringing me on to the next soundtrack, Sneakerella, which is another movie I actually watched the other day, and I thought was great. I thought it was a really good Disney Channel original movie. I mean, we've actually got to this stage now, to be fair, where it's unclear whether these are Disney Channel original movies or just the Disney Plus original. Either way, I thought it was a fun little retelling of Cinderella around sneakers. I thought it was a good little movie. And Chosen Jacobs is the star of this movie, and he started releasing music independently in 2017 with his first single called Losers, still being a pretty big hit to this day. He obviously starred as El Morales in Sneakerella, and features heavily on the soundtrack. He has 9 songs on the Sneakerella soundtrack. Disney Channel soundtracks don't really chart like they used to, so it hasn't broken into the Billboard 200, but as I said, he's sung a lot of songs on it, and the first song from it, Kicks, I think it's a really great musical number. I really enjoyed it. Does he count? I mean, he's still releasing music to this day, and I'm saying yes, he does. He did some music with Disney, but he obviously started before, but he's doing music with Disney now, and I think like Disney have obviously influenced him, and he's the 104th Disney Channel pop star, bringing me to his evil stepbrother. Coton Stewart has 2.9 thousand monthly listeners on Spotify, and he started releasing music independently in 2016. He released his first EP called Effortless in 2017. He obviously starred as the evil stepbrother Zelly in Sneakerella and sings the song Shut It Down and features on the finale song in Sneakerella. And he also, interestingly, sings something different this year on the Disenchanted, which is like the Walt Disney original movie that's like a sequel to Enchanted that came out in 2022. Again, it's like a Disney Plus original, so I'm not sure if it's meant to be a Disney Channel movie or... Either way, I'm counting that as a Disney Channel movie and that as a Walt Disney movie, which brings me to the question, does he count? He's still releasing music to this day. Yeah, he's the 105th Disney Channel pop star. Bringing me on to the final soundtrack we're going to talk about today, The Villains of Valley View, starting with Isabella Pappas. Fun fact about Isabella, she actually grew up in West London, in Chiswick specifically. I grew up in Ealing. We're literally next door to each other. Anyway, she started releasing music independently in 2020. She released a song called Playground and starred as Amy Madden in The Villains of Valley View, the Disney Channel original show from 2022. She sings the theme tune on the Villains of Valley View soundtrack, This Is Where the Party's At, and also sings a song on the Villains of Valley View soundtrack, We Don't Care. However, other than this, she hasn't pursued music. I think now she's actually on the West End, so doing very well for herself. She's big in the musical theatre scene here in London. But does she count as a Disney Channel pop star? I'm going to say, no, she doesn't. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know she did music, but she did music before she was on the Disney Channel. Then since she's been on the Disney Channel, she's gone into theatre. As I said, she could go on to become one in the future, but right now, I don't think she is. She's just not pursuing pop music right now. Bring me on to her co-star, Caden Muller-Jansen. Now, Caden Muller-Jansen just goes by the name Caden and started releasing music independently in 2019. She released her first EP called Unraveled in 2022, the same year where she appeared for the first time on the Disney Channel, starring as Hartley in The Villains of Valley View. She once again sung the theme tune for The Villains of Valley View and sung We Don't Care on The Villains of Valley View. Now, the difference between her and Isabella is she is still doing music after being on the Disney Channel. She was releasing songs last year. So, when I say that Caden Muller-Jansen is the 106th Disney Channel pop star, I don't want it to be an argument, okay? There's a different, she is a Disney Channel pop star, okay? She counts. And to be honest, I need a break. I think, and for me, that concludes it. The 106 Disney Channel pop stars, in my opinion. You might have counted 139 or 57. For me, there's 106. And yeah, I guess we're going to wrap up there. I'm going to go take a break and have a shower and take this suit that I've been wearing for about 2 months off. There's a secret final chapter to this video. We have the people I forgot, or more specifically, the people I intentionally left out, but still wanted to vent about. And we're going to do it chaotically down here. So firstly, I actually need to make somewhat of an apology. Rascal Flatts. I did not realize when I filmed part 1, Rascal Flatts are in Hannah Montana the movie. I don't know how I missed it, but I did. Okay? And Rascal Flatts technically should have been included in part 1 because they signed to Lyric Street Records, one of Disney's own record labels, one of their country-focused record labels. Rascal Flatts signed to them in 2000 and have been making music with Disney since the year 2000. On top of this, they also featured on 2 Walt Disney movie soundtracks, one of those being Cars. You probably know their song from Cars, Life is a Highway. You know, Life is a Highway. It's a pretty famous song. It's a song that's just associated with Disney intrinsically to this day. And of course, as I said, I just missed this entirely, but they appeared as themselves in Hannah Montana the movie and have 2 songs on the Hannah Montana the movie soundtrack being Backwards and Bless the Broken Road. They actually sing backwards in the movie itself. On top of this, Life is a Highway is included on Radio Disney Jam's Volume 9, as I said, the song from Cars. They also have a bunch of #1 albums with Lyric Street Records, which I also forgot to include in this section of the PowerPoint presentation, but it doesn't really matter at this stage, who cares? They left Lyric Street Records in 2010, and I should have included them in the Lyric Street Records section of the last video, but I forgot to. Let's just pretend I did. Do they count though? I'm going to say, no they don't. Which brings me to Steve Rushton. I don't know what I was doing when I was researching Hannah Montana the movie, but Steve Rushton is in this movie as well, and I also just somehow missed that. I mean, in my defense for this one, he isn't an actor in this movie. It's not listed on IMDb that he is in this movie. He is a member of Hannah Montana's band when they are playing at Lily's birthday party. So he's only listed as a band member. Let's talk about Steve Rushton. So he signed to Hollywood Records in 2008 or around 2008. And he actually sings the Sweet Life on Deck theme tune. Living the sweet life. On top of this, he's included on 3 Disney Channel soundtracks. One of these being the Hannah Montana the movie soundtrack, which he obviously appears in. And he's also on 2 Walt Disney movie soundtracks. One of these being G-Force, the other one being Santa Buddies. As I said, he appeared in Hannah Montana the movie, and I believe he was dating Miley Cyrus at the time, but he hasn't actually released any official music since then. He didn't have a very long musical career, but he did do a lot of work with Disney, which brings me to the question, does he count? I'm actually going to say yes, he does, making him officially the 107th, and technically, it should have made him the 39th of the original 39. It doesn't really matter, who cares? Which brings me to the next one, Honor Society. Now, Honor Society were essentially just the Jonas Brothers warm-up band throughout, like, the late 2000s. That's the best way to describe them. They don't ever appear on the Disney Channel, but they did a lot of work with Disney because the Jonas Brothers obviously liked them. I don't know. Anyway, they also signed to Hollywood Records in 2008 and released an album called Fashionably Late, which actually hit number 18 in the charts. So long story short, they had a charting album with Disney. They also had a song on Wizards of Waverly Place and featured on both DisneyMania and Radio Disney soundtracks before breaking up in 2013. But the big question is, do they count? And I'm going to say, yes, they do. The Jonas Brothers' warm-up band are the 108th Disney Channel pop star, bringing me on to Jeannie Ortega. Now, this is another one who is a Hollywood Records star, but again, she never appears on the Disney Channel, so I don't regret not including her in the last video as much, but I feel like I should include her because she obviously signed to Hollywood Records and was also featured on 2 Disney Channel soundtracks. She sings on the That's So Raven and Jump In soundtracks. She also had a charted single with Hollywood Records called Crowded, but other than that, she didn't really do much, and she's still releasing music to this day. Does she count? I'm going to say no, she doesn't. Sorry, yeah, Jeannie doesn't count. She did 2 Disney Channel soundtracks. That doesn't make her a Disney Channel pop star. Bringing me on to the next one, Myra. Now, Myra's a really interesting case because technically she isn't a Disney Channel star, but she was signed to Walt Disney Records from the year 2000. The problem is that she never actually appears on the Disney Channel, as with a lot of people in this section of the video, as I think you'll find. But she does appear in a Walt Disney movie. She makes like 1 acting appearance in her entire life, and that is a character called Chelsea in Max Keeble's Big Move. So she was doing that while releasing songs with Walt Disney Records. On top of this, she also has 2 Disney Channel soundtrack appearances, being Reese's School's Out and Gotta Kick It Up. Then she also features on 4 Walt Disney movie soundtracks. On top of this, she also appears in 3 Radio Disney soundtracks, Radio Disney Jams 3, Radio Disney Jams 4, and Radio Disney's Holiday Jams, and she is still releasing music to this day. Does she count? I'm going to say that Myra absolutely counts. Maybe she's more of a Disney pop star, but at the end of the day, it's becoming a bit of a grey area between a Disney pop star and a Disney Channel pop star. She still did Disney Channel soundtracks. She made an acting appearance in a Disney movie. I'm saying she counts. I don't want to hear anymore. She's the 109th Disney Channel pop star. Bringing me to the Pussycat Dolls. Now, this one is a bit of a confusing one. Obviously, you know the Pussycat Dolls consist of these 6 women that are all very successful in their own right, and I only included them because IMDb insists that Nicole Scherzinger is in Wizards of Waverly Place. But as far as I can see, she doesn't appear in it. Either way, they've been releasing music since 2004. Carmit left the band in 2008, and then they broke up in 2010. And since they broke up, Jessica, one of the band members, also started releasing music with Hollywood Records. So one of them went solo with Hollywood. But the question is, do they count? And unfortunately, I'm going to have to say, no, they don't. Bringing me on to 3LW. Now, you probably recognize a few of the people in this band, and the only reason I haven't included them is because 2 of these members, Adrian and Kylie, went on to form the Cheetah Girls. So I've already included them in that right, but they did make an appearance on the Disney Channel actually before the Cheetah Girls was even formed as this group, and also did some Disney Channel soundtrack work, featured on the Radio Disney soundtrack, and then obviously like had their drama. They broke up and obviously went on and formed the Cheetah Girls. I'm going to say they absolutely don't count. Brings me to the next one. We have Dream Street. Dream Street is essentially the same case. This is Jesse McCartney's original group, you see, when he was a little baby. They also were releasing music with a label, were featured on 2 Radio Disney soundtracks before breaking up. I also believe in Dream Street's case, Chris Truesdale also makes a few appearances on the Disney Channel in Shake It Up and Austin Nally. And I also believe Frankie voiced Christopher Robin back in like 1999. So they have a bit of a case, but again, I'm saying no. I'm not even gonna let it spin. Let's get on to the next one. We have Jump 5. Now, Jump 5 do not appear on the Disney Channel, but I think they have a pretty good case to count as a Disney Channel pop star despite not appearing on the Disney Channel. They've been releasing music with a label since 2001 and actually are featured on 5 Disney Channel soundtracks. Yeah, Lizzie McGuire the movie, Lilo and Stitch the series, Kim Possible, and That's So Raven. 5 Disney Channel soundtracks. Also, their song from Lilo and Stitch the series is the Lilo and Stitch the series theme tune. I'm not going to attempt to say that, but that is the theme tune of the show. On top of that, they also sing on 3 Disney movie soundtracks. Again, no surprise, Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch Has a Glitch, and also Ice Princess and Brother Bear. They are featured on 9! In total, they are featured on 4 DisneyMania and 5 Radio Disney soundtracks. That's 9 in total. And then Libby actually left the group, making them Jump 4, except they just remained Jump 5, just with 4 people, and they have since broken up as of 2007. Do they count, though? This is the question, and I'm gonna say yes. I think they are the 110th Disney Channel pop star. They never appeared on the Disney Channel, but I think they have a pretty strong case for being a Disney Channel pop star. Bringing me on to another group that never appeared on the Disney Channel, but have a really strong case, Everlife. Now, Everlife consists of the Ross sisters, and started releasing music with a Disney-owned record label, Buena Vista Records, in 2006. On top of this, they are featured on 4 Disney Channel soundtracks. That's still so many. I know it's not quite 5, but it's still 4 Disney Channel soundtracks. Go figure, Hannah Montana, That's So Raven 2, and Leroy and Stitch. Then they are on 2 Walt Disney movie soundtracks. We've got The Wild and The Bridge to Terabithia. And finally, they are featured also on 9. They've got 4 DisneyMania and 5 Radio Disney. I think that's the exact same, they started releasing music independently in 2011 and broke up in 2013. But the question is, do they count? Once again, I'm going to say yes. 111. They are the 111th Disney Channel pop star. Who's next? We have Christina Aguilera. Somehow it's taken this long for Christina Aguilera to come up. She was another one who appeared in the all-new Mickey Mouse Club back in the 90s. And usually I've said throughout this video that they just don't count, okay? They are before Disney Channel was really a thing. But in her case, her first ever solo song was with Disney. Her first ever solo song was actually for Mulan. It's one of her 2 Walt Disney movie soundtrack appearances. She sings Reflection on the Mulan soundtrack. And actually her second Walt Disney movie soundtrack appearance was in the new Mulan. She has a new song on the new Mulan. And I also think they included Reflection on the new Mulan soundtrack. She also has Reflection featured on 2 DisneyMania and 1 Radio Disney soundtrack. And of course then started releasing music with a label. But she did all of this before she started releasing music with a label. Disney were they were the ones that launched her. I'm saying for Christina Aguilera, I don't know how to say her name apparently. She said yes, I think so. I haven't counted other people, but she's different to Britney Spears, okay? Britney Spears achieved her music success after the Disney Channel, and there was no real input from Disney on her music career. In Christina Aguilera's case, she was given her first song by Disney. I think there's a huge difference. I'm calling her the 112th Disney Channel pop star. Bring me on to fan_free. Do we know who this is? I hope someone does. Now, she's another example of her first ever song was written for Disney for a soundtrack. She sung What They Gonna Think for the Lizzie McGuire soundtrack. She said herself that this was the thing that launched her career. She started releasing music with a label in 2004 and also has a song on Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, is featured on a couple DisneyMania and Radio Disney soundtracks, and has not released music in a very long time. But I didn't forget about her. Am I going to say she counts? I'm going to say, yes, she does. I think I jumped the gun on that. It didn't quite get there in time. But she is the 113th Disney Channel pop star. For the same reason as Christina Aguilera, Disney gave her first song, therefore she counts. Those are the rules. Next up, we have Orly Cravalho. So you might know that Orly Cravalho plays Moana in Moana, so therefore is heavily featured on the Moana soundtrack, which was massively successful, and also has a hit song from that soundtrack being How Far I'll Go, which hit number 41 in the charts and is 7 times platinum, or septuple platinum. But on top of that, more recently, she actually starred in a Disney Channel show called Hayley's On It and did the theme tune for that show. I believe she also released a song called Live Your Story, like an original song with Walt Disney Records in 2018, so she also made original music, was in a Disney Channel show, started with Disney, at least with a Walt Disney movie, but she hasn't actually released any songs since then. So I guess the question is, does she count? I'm gonna say no, she doesn't. I'm sorry. It was a close one. I think that is a close one, but, you know, she's more of a Disney pop star than a Disney Channel pop star. And even as a Disney pop star, she isn't really pursuing a music career right now. Which brings me to Maya Mitchell. You might recognize Maya Mitchell for starring as Mackenzie Fox in the Teen Beach Movie and featured in the Teen Beach Movie soundtrack. And while officially she doesn't have any like original music that she's pursued as a solo career herself, she does sing in a song by Rudy Manisco called Magic. So like she kind of has a song, but ultimately it's not her song, so I'm gonna say she doesn't count, and it's still spinning. Yeah, she doesn't count. I'm sorry. Bring me on to the next one. We have B5. Now, B5 consists of 5 guys whose surname is breeding. Basically like Jackson 5, J5, B5, you see what they did there. They started releasing music with a label in 2005, and pretty much in the immediate years following featured on 3 Disney Channel soundtracks. So on the High School Musical soundtrack, the Hannah Montana soundtrack, and the That's So Raven 2 soundtrack. All soundtracks which charted. So like, they're on 3, not just minor soundtracks, significant soundtracks. Then on top of that, they're also featured on 2 DisneyMania and 2 Radio Disney soundtracks. Like a lot of bands do, they went on hiatus in 2014 before reuniting in 2018, where they now release music independently. And I'm going to say that because the soundtracks they're on are so significant, yes, I think they count. And I'm officially calling them the 114th Disney Channel pop stars. Which brings me to some Disney Channel pop stars which I feel like might count someday in the future, but right now, I don't think I can count them purely because they haven't really started releasing music properly, at least yet. Let me just take you through them. Firstly, we have Jason Malbon. He starred as Lexi Grayson in Raven's Home. That's his first starring role on the Disney Channel, and also did the Raven's Home theme tunes. He also starred as Fletcher Blake in Freaky Friday, and is featured on 3 Disney Channel soundtracks because of this. He's obviously in the Raven's Home soundtrack, the Raven's Home musical episode, the infamous Raven's Home musical episode, the Freaky Friday soundtrack, but he hasn't actually made any official music. But with that said, he is only 17 years old. So I think, like, he's got time if he wants to pursue music in the future, and if he does pursue music in the future, I think he's a clear as day yes, but right now, he remains a no. Bringing me to the next one, Eli Samawi. Eli Samawi appeared as Rodney in Bizaardvark and started releasing music independently earlier this year. As you can see, it hasn't quite taken off for Eli yet. That is 10 monthly listeners on Spotify, but did do a song with Disney called A Halloween House Party. There's an argument that maybe he might count in the future if his music career, like, probably gets going from it. But right now, I'm still saying that is a no, unfortunately, for Eli. Bringing me to the next one, we have Scarlett Estevez. Again, another one who's got a huge chance of being on later, but she is only 16 at the time of recording. Now, she started her Disney Channel career, I believe, on Bunked as a character called Gwen, but her main big starring role is actually in the movie Christmas Again, where she sings the song Christmas Again on the soundtrack. She's also recently starred as Violet in Ultraviolet and Black Scorpion, a Disney Channel show or a Disney Plus original. I don't really know, there's a grey area between them now, but she was starring in it anyway. But other than that, she hasn't done any official music other than that Christmas Again thing. So right now she doesn't count, but as I said, she is 16 years old. There is a lot of time for her to make music if she wants to make music. Then we have Adrian Lyles. Now, Adrian Lyles appeared as Jet in High School Musical, the musical, the series. He has songs in the High School Musical, the series Season 3 and Season 4 soundtracks, and hasn't released any music at the time of recording this. But I'm going to say he started releasing music in 2024 because right now, at the time of recording this, he is promoting a upcoming song on his Instagram, and it will probably be released by the time this video comes out. So I'm assuming he's going to release music in the near future, but right now he doesn't count. But in the very near future, I think he's probably going to count. Bring me to, oh my god, I don't know how to say that, Liamani Segura. Now, she first appeared on the Disney Channel in High School Musical, the series as well, as a character called Emmy, and she's actually been singing since she's like 6. It's all posted on her YouTube channel where it's been documented since she was a child. She's been singing national anthems, she does like covers. She also has 3 songs on the High School Musical, the series soundtrack. She's got 2 in Season 3 and 1 in Season 4. Right now, she doesn't have any official music, but she is literally 15 years old. That means, I think, for this sake, I don't think she counts. Bring me to the final one, Morgan Dudley. Now, Morgan Dudley is Descendants Rise of Red star. She plays the character Ella in that movie and has the song Get Your Hands Dirty. And very similarly to Adrian earlier, doesn't have any songs at the time of recording this video, but is teasing a song on Instagram right now, ready to come out in like October this year. So, you know, she started releasing music this year. Unfortunately, right now I can't say she's a Disney Channel pop star, but I would say she's a yes in the future. Yeah, but right now, she's not. I'm done. Also, once again, I just want to give a thank you to my patrons, Kayla AC, Jacob, Aneshka, Jonathan, Ben, and Will. Supporting me on there is a great way to support me doing long projects like this. We've actually just started a new series, me and my girlfriend reacting and watching movies. If you're interested in that, please go check it out, and my Patreon in general. Your support means the world to me. This video has taken so long. It's now Christmas. I literally started this over a year ago now. I started researching this over a year ago. Do I have any interesting conclusions? I mean, I guess, yeah, they've been making pop stars. I've counted about 114 where I think you could say they've had enough influence over them that they could call themselves Disney Channel pop stars. You could probably have less. You might have more. And also, I think I've reached the conclusion that they haven't just stopped doing it, but they are going to continue doing it well into the future. A couple of those people I just mentioned at the end there have not just released music. One of them is literally doing music with Hollywood Records. That's like literally Disney's record label. That makes him the 40th of the original group. Not. The point is, Disney pop stars exist. I'm not the first person to discover that, but I'm definitely the person who spent most time thinking about it this year, probably in the entire world. And hopefully, I don't spend as long making the next video and can actually just release consistent content next year. But if I don't, then I'm sorry that that's the case. But here we go. There's your content for the year. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks. Bye. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe as well, please.